December. Masterclass from Emma Jones. Surrey introduced cricket there with funding from their patron scheme. They've gone from strength to strength, entering Surrey's indoor schools competition, and a lot of the players going on to trial for the MCC Foundation hubs. Hampshire on their way out as well. But first things first, and most importantly, Georgie, welcome. How are you? How are you looking forward to today's game?
Well, I'm excited. It's my first trip to the Oval of the season, actually. So good day to start things. Obviously, it's the first time Surrey have played at the Kia Oval as a professional women's side. So big day. So it's a nice one to be part of. And actually two teams who are looking pretty good. Obviously, I was down at the T20 finals and the Cup finals. Surrey losing in the final there. But Hampshire are really flying at the moment. They took down Lancashire just yesterday and scored a mammoth total last week. So a side looking very strong. But we were talking about this before the game, weren't we? Surrey are absolutely stacked with batters. So we could be on for some big runs today.
Absolutely, and I'll quickly run you through the team. Surrey have just made 2 changes. Very excitingly, it's the first appearance of the season for Tash Farron. She's been out with injury for, well, until the start of this season. Her last game was back in July, and even more excitingly, Grace Harris, the Aussie overseas, has been signed on debut. She's carded at number 5. For Hampshire, just the one change. Freya Kemp is in for Abby Norgrove. Opening the batting for Surrey with Bryony Smith and Danny Wyatt-Hodge, and with new ball in hand is Daisy Gibbs, and here she is. A sedate start to life at the Kia Oval. The forecast today is, I don't know how to put this, bad but improving.
Okay. Oh, I could describe a lot of things in my life like that. Yes. So, you know.
So I'm optimistic. At the moment, we do have an overcast setting. There has been rain around, and the percentage chances of rain throughout the afternoon sits at around 50–60%. So you never know. We might get completely rained out, or we might be scot-free. Pair of singles to start proceedings, both Smith and Wyatt-Hodge off the mark.
Yeah, nice opening partnership this. Both batters who can find the boundary easily. Obviously, Danny Wyatt-Hodge coming off the back of a great performance in the previous game. Bryony Smith leads his side so well, and we know she's what I like. She's a bludgeoner. She can bludgeon a cricket ball, Bryony Smith.
Of course, for those watching for the first time, the first 6 overs is the power play, which means Hampshire are only allowed to have 2 fielders outside of the 25-yard circle. You'll see that 25-yard circle on your screen, kind of lots of dots in place. Mohamed Datani with the fielding there. And so the 2 fielders Hampshire have chosen to have out at the start of this innings are deep square leg and kind of a deep mid-wicket cow corner. Daisy Gibb bowls big in-swingers, kind of ball moves in towards the right-hander, so they're protecting that leg side boundary. There you go. Big in-swinger from Daisy Gibb. Clipped out into the leg side, and mid-wicket does the fielding on the boundary.
So satisfying that, isn't it? Just as you've said it.
It's wonderful. Occasionally, you feel like you know what you're talking about. Rare but special moments in all the lives of cricket broadcasters. We have had a slight change of field for Wyatt-Hodge. That deep mid-wicket fielder has come in to the ring, and deep point has gone out. Well, she's bowling to her field at the moment, Gibb, where she has had protection on the boundary. The ball's been managing to follow where they have been. We have a very interesting boundary size today.
Yeah.
Have you noticed this?
I mean, I wouldn't exactly call it an oval as such. There's sort of an almost corner, and it's massive over towards our left, and then a much shorter boundary over to the right towards
We just have a
the
little
Archbishop Tennyson School
play here. A very optimistic supporter had sat right behind the bowler's arm. It was a wonderful seat. Bryony Smith's been very quick to ask the patron to move slightly to their right. It's a very wide delivery. Would have been signalled as such, but Bryony Smith fancied having a go at it. End of the first over, the score's 4 for no loss. Now, we do know that Surrey set their boundaries off the basis of who they're playing. They like to have a little play around with it, make parts of the ground bigger, other parts smaller, depending on the strengths and weaknesses. And I'm just trying to work out what we can learn from the dimensions at the moment. I don't know if the director will be able to hear it, get a wide shot of the ground. But to our left from the Vauxhall end, we have this enormous kind of scale of boundary which swoops all the way out almost to the advertising boarding. And then onto our right-hand side, it cuts really tight to that 25-yard circle. We've probably got about a 55-yard boundary to our right and a 75-yard boundary to our left. It's all very exciting.
I'll be so impressed if you've gauged these numbers exactly as well.
I'd hope I've done nothing less. Freya Davies, with ball in hand from the Vauxhall end. It's wide to begin with.
Julia Jarvis stretches her arms out. Overseeing proceedings today, we've got Ben Peverell and Julia Jarvis out in the middle, and the third umpire for today is Jason Swift, no relation. Or maybe a relation, I don't know.
That'd be big news.
Oh, can you imagine? That came out.
Circuit.
Oh.
We are very close to Taylor Swift's favourite pub in London.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the Black Dog. Just a few blocks behind us. I think it was referenced in her.
Oh, yes.
I don't want to give away too much of my specialist subject.
Would that be your mastermind, yeah? Taylor Swift?
I can do that question. I'm going to say I know which pub she references on the album.
Yeah.
Chipped over the infield on the leg side, and that'd be 4. It's gone down towards that very short boundary. Off the bat, it didn't kind of sound amazing. It didn't look very impressive either, if truth be told. But it skipped away off what's still quite a damp outfield, and Surrey have their first boundary of the innings.
Yeah, it was very nonchalant, wasn't it? It was just sort of just clipped up in the air, and then somehow has managed to race across a very damp outfield. We do talk about how good the drainage is here at the Kia Oval, though, so they've done the job, and it's on the first boundary of the innings now. And Surrey just starting to accelerate into this now.
Davies bowling very straight this over, really targeting the pads of both Smith and Wyatt Hodge. Not yet seeing much swing. Both these teams unbeaten in this competition so far, which isn't saying much. Surrey have played 1-1-1. Hampshire played 2-1-2. You can still bill it as the kind of clash of the Titans. Straight once again from Davies, and well fielded down that short fine leg. Prevents the ball from scuttling off to the boundary's edge.
Yeah, great bit of fielding, and gets the appreciation from her teammates as well. Rihanna Southby even coming around from keeping position to go and offer a high five. Because that's a very short boundary out there, just stuck out a left hand.
Straight once again from Davies, and Surrey able to scamper through for a single. We're seeing a really tight and strict line from the England bowler. Fun fact about Freya Davies, got married earlier this year, and her Alice Davison Richards was her maid of honour.
Lovely.
There you go. So unsurprisingly, I've been digging back into the Cricketers' Who's Who book, and I'm ready to roll out some more fun facts across the course of the afternoon. Driven up to mid-on. But a very tight over from Davies. Just the one boundary off it. 8 runs conceded. After the second over, the score's 12 for none.
I think I saw some of the pictures of that wedding pop up all over Instagram, as you do. If it's not on Instagram, it didn't happen.
That is true. I've heard that's a fact, actually.
It is, yeah. I was thinking, lots of people want to have summer weddings and that kind of thing. As a cricketer, you just can't. You can't have a summer wedding on a week. You're busy on the weekends. It's not a thing.
One of my friends, very keen club cricketer, his stag do was the second weekend of April, and his wedding's the second weekend of September. So he's absolutely split it.
Yeah.
It's very appreciated, because none of his friends would be able to come if he didn't do that. Well bowled by Gibb. Using that angle, swinging the ball back into White Hodge.
Yeah, just keeping these two quiet up the top of the innings. Just over 2 overs gone, 12 on the board. So Danny White Hodge coming off the back of a great performance in their previous game alongside Paige Schofield. Just being kept quiet.
Just loses the line on that occasion. Sneaks down the leg side for a wide. Now, it's been a very different start to this match between these two teams than it was in Beckenham around 3 weeks ago. These two sides played each other in the T20 Women's County Cup. And Surrey got around 240. Kira Chatley got 95 off about 47. And in reply, Hampshire about 79 after 5. They did end up losing by around 60 runs, but our colleagues Daniel Norcross and Kirsty White were on the ground commentating on that much. They said it was just bizarre. They said the boundaries at Beckenham were so small. It was such a good wicket and such a hot day with such a quick outfield. Every ball was going for 4. Kira Chatley's 95 or 47 or whatever it was. 19 fours, just the 1 6.
Honestly, if you want to go and up your average a little bit, go and have a bat at Beckenham.
That's wide. Cut to that fielder at cover point. Datani with the fielding.
Yeah, well, Datani's been out on loan as well at Middlesex. She was obviously part of Sunrisers from when they came about. She's from that area, been with Middlesex a while. So back in the Hampshire side again today. I do get sometimes trying to keep up with loan players. One day they're wearing one kit, one day they're in another. And I sometimes think they have to really think about their packing when they're heading off around the country and thinking, am I going to get to a home in the middle?
Swing and a miss. Muted appeal from Southby behind the stumps. Datani's also been at Lancashire, has she not?
Yes,
if I'm wrong.
Was at Lancashire last year as well, and then signed to move, if I'm correct. She was at Lancashire.
Swing and a miss. Muted.
Oh, it gets very confusing.
Well, I was thinking that with Hampshire's overseas player, Charlie Knott. This is her second year on the South Coast, but her third South Coast team. She's done Vipers, Southern Brave, Hampshire. Swing and a miss.
Collecting shirts.
To the left of the fielder out in the deep. They'll look for 2. Side against it. It's been a really strong start from Hampshire here. Tight lines from both opening bowlers. Daisy Gibb, just 19 years old. She did play in Hampshire's opening round win over Lancashire. Very comfortable win. 8 wickets with an over to spare. People 3 overs, none for 12 on that occasion, so keeping it tight once more today. Really well done from Southby. So taking the bottom edge of White Hodge's bat, raced down towards the leg side, but Southby's been quick to almost goalkeeper style stop the ball from running away for 4. That brings to an end the 3rd over. It's 15 for none.
Yeah, she's one of the best keepers going around. There's some great keepers actually in this women's tournament at the moment. Rihanna Southby's right up there, and we'll see her play in the 100. Plays at Brave. She bats down at 11. So she barely bats, and she's almost in as a specialist keeper. She's that good behind the stumps.
Coming into the bowling attack, it's a player I've been really looking forward to watching this season, Rachel Tyson. Also goes by the name Bex Tyson, a left-arm spinner. She only started bowling left-arm spin about 4 years ago. She was on the staff, the coaching staff at the indoor centre at Lord's last year, and for a number of years. And she was net bowling to London Spirit during last year's 100. Heather Knight was so impressed. well, starts with a full toss, and that might split the fielders and go for 4. Fantastic fielding in the deep. That is wonderful work to save a certain boundary.
It's Freya Kemp out there.
Freya Kemp back in the team, doing the work, putting in the work for her teammates, just for giving Tyson the big up. She has beautiful shape on her kind of left arm orthodox. And so, yes, but through net bowling across the course of the 100, she bowled to Charlie Dean, Heather Knight. Charlotte Edwards got wind of this, and they were talking originally about a contract for this year for Hampshire, but she was actually given a short-term deal at the Vipers at the end of last season. She's taken 3 wickets in both of Hampshire's opening matches this season as well, so she's been bowling exceptionally well. Sweep down the leg side. It could run away for a couple, if not 4. It's getting all the way there. Is that more good fielding from Hampshire, or is that going to...
I think it's just going to hit the boundary. Mary Taylor, with a diving effort, puts her head in her hands as they pick up much needed boundary here. Well, talking of the bowling in the nets, we've seen it a few times in previous years. Holly Colvin is one that springs to mind, who became England's youngest ever capped player, I think she was at the time. She was bowling in the nets to England, and then it was sort of, right, do you want to play this week? And in she came. Others get spotted on social media. Phoebe Litchfield.
It's better from Tyson. Much needed dot ball. 7 runs off the first 4 balls of the over now. One more run to the total. White Hodge looking to use her feet. That, of course, happened most famously in recent times of Sherb Bashir.
Yeah.
It was all kind of spoken about as that Bashir was this kind of data-driven selection. The idea that he had this really high release point, and England had really dug deep on the numbers to see what would work in India, and then Stokes goes, I saw him on Twitter and thought he looked quite good, actually.
Well, something's been introduced with Surrey's recruitment, isn't it, as well? Using video, you can sort of apply to join the programme through video applications.
4 overs gone, 24 for none. No, Surrey running that programme through their age group systems. I think they initially started at Warwickshire through Dr. Tom Brown, who's kind of the brainchild of Saka as well. The idea is just to create more equity in the selection process. So rather than it being word of mouth and there being the big mega clubs or schools in the local area that go send their kids on their way to Surrey and go, I promise you this lad's a good player.
Yeah.
You send yourself 6 balls of yourself bowling or batting, they have a look at you and they invite you in. All the way. Davies back into the attack, this time from the pavilion end.
It's good pace from Davies. I think also it means, you don't have to travel a million miles to just go to that one day where there happens to be trials, which I always think is very, it's a tricky one. Parents have got to get the kid here, there and everywhere. If you can send in your application and get sort of noticed before you've made one day, gone down there, or you're injured, you're ill.
That's pulled behind square, down to that really long part of the ground, and as such, it is able to be cut off and will just be 2. It's interesting you mentioned Davies' pace. She does seem to be bowling a little bit quicker than a previous over, but Southby's come up to the stumps, which suggests the ball, if it ever was swinging, has stopped. They're not that confident of kind of nicking these 2 opening batters off. But they do want to keep them in their crease. Well bowled by Davies.
It's also good work by Southby behind the stumps. Knew she wasn't going to be able to get her hands to it. Just sort of stopped it between her legs in the end.
quick single into the offside. Tatani been busy today in the field. Got another cricketer's who's who information for you. Danny White-Hodge listing the toughest opponent in domestic cricket to bowler to face.
Yeah.
Says Naomi Tatani.
Interesting. I wonder if there's numbers that back that up, or it's just how she feels when she faces her.
I think Georgia Adams, the Hampshire captain, needs to be made aware of this. Matchups, mentality.
Yes.
Pulls firmly into the leg side. That's 6. A wonderful shot from Bryony Smith, just picking the ball up from a length. And that's a wonderful shot. It's not a small hit out in that direction. But the sound of the bat was so clean. And that's the first 6 of the afternoon.
And it seems fitting that it's come off the bat of Bryony Smith. The first Surrey 6 as a professional side here at the Kia Oval. It's the long boundary out to the left, and it just sat up. It was there to be hit, and actually fielder's being pushed out onto that boundary now. Charlie not heading out there. Absolute sensational fielder. She's Australia, and it comes with the territory.
That'd be 4 more. 6 in one direction, 4 in the other. Neither of those balls were particularly short from Davies. The first one, upon seeing the replay, Smith just picked the ball up, almost from full of a length. And this time, just a little bit more width. That fielder has come up from the offside boundary. And there's 4 more. And 10 precious runs added to the total for Surrey. And after 5 overs, the score's looking a lot healthier on 38 for none.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You start slowly, there's always time to up the run scoring, up the rate, and that's exactly what these two can do. They're 2 seasoned professionals, absolute veterans of the game. They won't be worried about a few sort of quieter overs earlier on in the day. They know that they can accelerate as they get themselves in and get through. And that's exactly what they've done here. So Daisy Gibb back into the attack, this time from the Vauxhall end. Run up starting just in front of the lump of sawdust on the out of the ring. Finds the outside edge, and that is absolutely flown to the boundary. She had a slash at it, Danny White-Hodge. Things are looking much rosier for Surrey.
It's amazing how quickly things can change. 3 balls ago, Surrey were trudging along and only had 28 for none. Almost 5 overs in at less than a run a ball. Now, everything seems to be coming up light blue.
Well, she's not quite timed this, and it's still gone for 6. She's absolutely, well, she's taken it on, she's used the pace, but it just looked like it didn't quite come off the middle of the bat, and we look quite confused up in the commentary box. In my head, that had gone straight up in the air, and it's gone for 6.
That is a remarkable shot from White-Hodge. I'd like to know what bats these two are using, because Georgie's completely right. They've almost sliced off her blade, and it kept travelling. That's ended up in the stands. That's cleared all boundaries that you could possibly lay at this ground. A serious hit from White-Hodge.
Yeah, it's a good response. Really good response from Daisy Gibb. She does well to keep it down, White-Hodge. Almost has to have a reach for it, though. Not the tallest of batters.
The umpire, Julia Jarvis, signals 1 for the over. I'm really confused by this rule in cricket at the moment, because I think if you bowl it over the head of a batter, it is a no ball.
Yeah.
But
over the shoulder.
No, over the head.
No, but over the shoulder is okay.
Exactly. You get 1 for the over.
Well, Bryony Smith has come out now, and she really means business. And that's another 6 off the bat of the captain.
Well, she's gone short again. Been punished again. The second 6 of the over that Gibb has gone for. I don't really know what switch Surrey have flicked, but it's working for them. And whilst we're still in the power play, and Hampshire can only protect the boundary of 2 fielders out on the edge, well, it's now 55 for none, and we're getting close to 10 runs and over.
It's not going to find the boundary this time, so it's just 1 more to the total. Granny Smith has a little look at the toe end of her magic bat. Whatever these two are batting with, I want one. I've got to try and find a way to break this partnership now.
The idea is, and I'll try and do some research, that even if you hit the ball, the reason why it's no longer wide if it goes over a batter's head and it's a no ball is the idea that you can still reach and hit it.
Right.
So you don't want to be disqualified for that being wide. But
it's well bowled.
I think it can mean if the ball...
So 6 overs gone, 57 for none. Surrey, these two going along nicely. Oh, they've accelerated into this innings.
If the ball does bounce above your head and you do hit the ball and you're caught, actually, it's a no ball still.
Right.
Even though you've hit it.
Yeah. Okay, fair.
Allowed. But let's keep an eye out. It will happen across the course of this season. And we'll be ready to be... Actually, we won't be ready to be confused. We'll be ready to explain the situation succinctly,
never confused,
precisely, and clearly to the listening and watching audience.
See, I quite like the idea of having 2 for the over.
I agree. I really
They bring
like
that into
idea.
was it the IPL? They brought that in because you have one first ball of the over. You know you'd have to be worried the next 5.
And especially when we see scores kind of across the board in T20 going up, to give the bowler a little extra weapon to counteract that.
Tyson from the pavilion end this time. We've had, of all the bowlers now, bowled from both ends so far. Not really stuck to one. They've rotated ends.
I believe you're absolutely correct. I've enjoyed that greatly.
White Hodge moves early this time, and it's well taken. No, it's not. Put down on the dive. Ella McGacken out on the boundary, put in the roll. And I thought that was going to be the partnership broken.
It would have been a very smart catch from McCacken out on the boundaries there. It's just died on her at the last moment. White Hodge almost put topspin on that pull shot when she didn't quite hit it the way she intended to. McCacken falling to her left, not able to hold on.
Not timed this time, and it's just teasing Ella McCacken now. This time lands well short, but one of those moments you think, right, I've got time here to redeem myself. But she's going to have to really get her skates on if she's going to get to that one. This time goes inside out. Danny Wyatt Hodge. Pigeons flying in all directions. And another 4 to the total. They move past 60 now. And this partnership is causing a serious headache for Georgia Adams and her team. They just don't know where they're going to find this breakthrough. A half chance in that over, in this over so far. But other than that, it's Surrey's game at the moment. Remember, Hampshire won the toss and decided they were going to have a bowl first. Again, nice use of the feet. And here, Ella McGacken have the ball again.
Well, Wyatt Hodge being left out of that England ODI squad has been such a bonus for Surrey. It's meant they've had her at these early fixtures in the T20 blast. And she made an unbeaten half-century against Somerset. She's going well here against Hampshire.
This one dug into the ground and got a hold of it. Phew, that is quite some hit. The noise off the bat. And again, it's out to that long boundary, and these two are absolutely flying. The Surrey openers, 70 on the board now.
Well, Granny Smith's magic bats continue. 33 off 19 for the captain, 35 off 23 for Wyatt Hodge. And after 4.5 overs, Surrey are on 28. So if I can do my maths quickly, that means they've scored 42 off the following 13 balls?
Yes.
That is right.
Yes.
I'm going to back myself there. Thank you very much. And the captain's had to take action immediately.
Well, she does quite often have a golden arm, Georgia Adams. She's got such a round arm action, and actually, throughout the years, she's almost got more round arm as she's, I don't know, age? I don't know, but I saw a lot of her playing for the New South Wales Breakers over in Australia over Christmas, captain that side to the title. She knows how to win a trophy, just Georgia Adams, so leading this Hampshire side like she did the Vipers. And looking to try and make a breakthrough here. Outside edge and put down, and so nearly with her first delivery. The golden arm delivers. Hands on knees. That's 2 now have been put down by Hampshire fielders.
It's a poor drop there by Gibbon, the covers. McCacken's one was difficult, down to a low on the boundary. But those with Danny White-Hodge motoring really have to hold on.
That's very slow. Misfield makes it an easy run. Mary Taylor just letting it bobble away.
Things have got just a bit scrappy for Hampshire very quickly. It's one thing for Surrey to turn it on, to clear the ropes. It's another for Hampshire to then lose their standards as well. They need to rein this in quickly.
Well, she's not got a hold of this cleanly. And it is taken, finally. Third time lucky for Hampshire. They do cling on to one, and that breaks the partnership, this incredible partnership. 73 Wyatt-Hodge and Smith have put on together. And finally, and it is her, the golden arm, Georgia Adams, who makes the breakthrough.
That's a really much needed wicket for Hampshire. We were just talking about how things were getting a bit ugly for the visiting team quickly. And a crucial wicket, just to halt the momentum slightly. It's caught by Charlie Knott out on the boundary's edge. A very simple catch, well held. And golden arm, Georgia Adams. Georgia Heath predicted it. Georgia Adams delivered it. Well done all.
Well, here we go. Well done all. And you know what makes it very exciting? We've had all the G's are involved now. Georgia Adams bowling, Georgie Heath predicting it, and now the big G, the one we've all been waiting for, Grace Harris, comes out to the middle.
I mean, really well done, Georgie. That was a good G mentioning there. I'm relieved as well, because Grace Harris was listed at 5, and I thought, surely not. We're sure not going to have to wait 3 wickets to see the Aussie superstar come into bat.
You know who will be so excited right now? Grace Harris's biggest fan, Daniel Norcross. And I'm surprised he's not in here watching right now. He's probably down on the ground in the front row somewhere. And here comes Adams to Harris. She's off the mark in Surrey colours. Obviously Laura Harris playing over at the Birmingham Bears as well, sending the ball to all parts. So the Harrises have descended on the Vitality Blast. Not sure what we're waiting for here. Just a slight pause in play. Georgia Adams waiting. Again, just one more. So it's been a good over this from Adams, the captain. She often brings herself on at moments like this and goes, right, I'm going to take charge. I'm going to take this on, try and slow the run scoring. She's very difficult to play because of that round arm action. She doesn't really turn the ball very much. It's just very slow. It's been a great first over. Wicket and 5 runs coming from it. So Surrey find themselves 75 for 1 at the end of 8 overs.
The golden arm works for Hampshire. Adams almost bowls kind of little away swingers. A really low arm, the ball kind of curving away from the right-handed batter. And if one turns, all the better.
I find it such a strange concept, spin bowling, when you say, oh, they actually do turn it. And you sort of think, isn't that
the idea?
Isn't that the whole point? The clue is in the name.
Well, a Hampshire player who's not playing for them today is Lindsay Smith, another left-arm spinner. She bowls very similarly to kind of the West Indies Akil Hussain. They almost bowl in-swingers to the right-hander. They don't try and spin the ball at all. And another spinner entering the attack, Charlie Knott. See if she tries to give it a rip. I hope not. I like this theme, this genre, the non-turning, non-spinning spinner.
It's actually just really economical and easy on the body. Just bowl slowly. Oh, and both batters are at the same end, and Grace Harris is going to be run out here. It's not taken cleanly. Oh, what a moment that could have been. That would have been the end of Grace Harris. She was almost running off towards Vauxhall Station saying, I'm gone, bye, I'll see you in a bit when I come and field.
Hampshire have done a whoopsie. That is a real comedy of errors from Hampshire. Grace Harris was at the striker's end and somehow able to make it back.
I'm all of a kerfuffle after that. The two Australians at the same end. And Grace Harris is going to remember that. She'll be having words with Charlie Knott. Mark you me. This time there is some communication, and Charlie Knott aggressively throwing the ball at the stumps at Grace Harris's end.
I think it was Rachel Tyson's throw that came into Charlie Knott. It wasn't a great throw, but Knott still had so much time. She fumbled the ball. Then from a yard or two away, once Grace Harris had kind of hit the accelerator button a little bit, realised she needed to throw at the stumps rather than just take the bails off, she missed as well.
This one into the pitch, and she's onto it quickly as Harris. You sort of feel at that point she could have almost just dived at it. Instead of throwing it, just chuck your whole body, arms out first. Strange. And Harris looked like she'd sort of given up at this point. Her and Danny Wyatt almost had a conversation. Thinking, oh, you know, what's for dinner later? And that could prove very costly.
I also think only Danny Wyatt-Hodge has the social capital within this Surrey team to be able to run out Grace Harris, or potentially so. Two titans of the international game. Grace Harris on debut, you stay that end. I'll stay here.
That's going to be Grace Harris's first boundary in Surrey colours. She could have been out, she could have been run out, she coulda, shoulda, woulda. And she's out there, going to just start accelerating now. Danny Wyatt-Hodge and Grace Harris out in the middle. So 9 overs gone, Surrey 82 for 1. Just Bryony Smith, the captain, back in the hutch.
Well, how costly could that mistake from Hampshire be? Of all the players potentially in the world, you want to make sure you capitalise on any opportunity to dismiss them early. Grace Harris would be high up on that list. She's been given, I'd say, two lives in that. That was a double chance somehow. Anyway, we're going to have change of bowl, and Mary Taylor is going to come into the attack. We mentioned the run fest between these two sides earlier this year at Beckenham. Mary Taylor was the only Hampshire bowler to come away unscathed. She took 4 wickets and only went around a run a ball. Our team could really do with her delivering a similar spell here today.
Skewed up in the air, and there's no fielder out on the rope. She picks up 4. First ball of Mary Taylor's over. Definitely not timed, but they'll take it.
It's the 3rd time this innings. The ball has come off the bat and been not timed, skewed up in the air, and seen it sail a very long way. I'm beginning to wonder if it is definitely the bat, so maybe there's a kind of special tint on these windows.
Maybe I need to clean my glasses. Full toss right on the pads. A much needed dot, actually. I haven't seen a lot of those recently. They're either finding boundaries, rotating the strike nicely. Hampshire just trying to pull themselves back together again. Obviously, we had a couple of drop catches and then the catch finally taken, the run-out chance. So they're creating chances, just not quite executing that last 10%. That's well stopped by Taylor in her follow-through. The moment Grace Harris' heart would have been in her mouth, coming out of her crease. She got a little fingertip on that. Taylor, Harris would have been on her way. Again, skewed in the air. And it's going to land safe again, just inside the rope. 4 more to the total, 4 more to Danny Wyatt-Hodge.
Well, that's the longest part of the ground, and it's just plugged.
And she's mishit it somehow.
It's just plugged in that enormous pocket down, kind of deep extra cover. Takes Wyatt-Hodge to 49. It has been the most remarkable display of hitting. She's kind of cutting across the ball.
it's been really ugly runs, you know. That sounds really awful. But if you look at a highlights reel of boundary hitting, of which there has been a lot, but none of them you've really gone for. That's a hell of a strike, really. Maybe Bryony Smith's first 6.
Yep.
That was delicious. But there's been some mishitting that has just somehow pinged towards the boundary. Good touch from Wyatt Hodge. Oh, she had to get her skates on in there, didn't she, Grace Harris?
50 for Danny Wyatt Hodge as well. Her second of the competition. Lays her back around the crowd. 35 balls. A quick innings, and she's been in fine form, and it has been bizarre. She's chosen her areas to hit the ball very well. She's been kind of cutting across the ball, almost skewing the ball to the boundary, and well, Hampshire, if she does find her full straps, are going to be in real trouble.
It's well weighted by Harris, read the slower ball. Smile Boucher. Long on, so halfway, coming up to the halfway point here. So with 9 overs down, no, 10 overs down, yeah, scoreboard just catching up. I knew I was right. I trusted my gut, and then I watched the technology and I thought I was wrong, but I'm not for once. 10 overs gone, Surrey 92 for 1, and this is a hell of a platform that they can now really build on and accelerate. They've got Grace Harris and Danny Wyatt Hodge on 50 out there in the middle. You feel pretty confident that they can really try and push up towards that 180, 190, perhaps 200 mark.
Georgia Adams, change of end for the captain. She's back into the attack now from the pavilion end. Surrey's strength is in their depth. So you imagine Paige Schofield will come out next. Also got the likes of Phoebe Franklin, who batted so well at Guildford against Durham in the T20 Women's County Cup. Tash Farrant and Phoebe Franklin, both, sorry, Tash Farrant and Kira Chatley, obviously very competent with the bat in hand as well. And that could be to the hands of Longoff. No. We've got to get our eyes checked, Georgie.
We do.
Because that went nowhere. I thought that had gone straight to the fielder. And I was just pacing it to go talk everyone through the demise, the end of Danny Wyatt Hodge's innings, except it's
a golden arm, but no. No.
1 run. Harris has found a gap there. Split those 2 fielders in the deep, and that's 4 more.
And that's a clean-looking 4 off the bat of Grace Harris. But I do know what you mean, because I thought, right, that's gone straight down the throat of the fielder. That previous shot off Danny Wyatt Hodge. So it's not just you, it's not just me.
Yeah.
I blame the glass.
Well, given it's 2 international batters out there, I'm tempted to guess it's us being wrong rather than them.
You know what? You're probably right.
Swings that up in the air, and that's gone miles. No doubt about that one. Grace Harris lifting the ball up over long on. 10 runs in 2 balls, and this could be a massive total for Surrey.
I mean, stand and deliver, Grace Harris. That has absolutely soared towards the pavilion. That was proper Grace Harris striking. Didn't even have to think about running. Just watched it. Get down in your deck chair and think, it's nice to watch that.
And already that missed run out is just beginning to hurt and cause a bit of pain to Hampshire. Harris on 18 off 9. She's already done damage. Even small cameos like this are so influential in the T20 format. I look to push too, but fielding is done cleanly. In the deep, and at the end of the 11th over, Surrey well placed, 105 for 1.
I just feel like Grace Harris is the kind of batter that was really going to punish you. She could have been run out, should have been run out. It was by no fault of her own, really. Just a miscommunication between her and Danny Wyatt Hodge. And now she's just saying, right, you've given me that life. I'm on my debut for Surrey. I'm now going to show you why you really should have been better in the field with that one.
Well, Rachel Tyson's going to return to the attack from the Vauxhall end. Just 2 overs to her name so far. Grace Harris just found a gap there, a pocket to the right of extra cover. Only 1 run. Tyson's first 2 overs going for 22 runs. Only really Charlie Noss has avoided any real punishment. Danny Gibb as well, her 3 overs have gone for 26, so just going at 8 and over the young seamer. It's well bowled from Tyson. White Hodge kind of shimmying around her crease, looking for something. Tyson's followed her, cramped her for room. And have to sneak out with the dot ball. We're going to have a fielding change. Nope, we're not going to have a fielding change.
Georgia Adams is just doing the hokey-cokey.
There's ever so a tweak. George Adams has moved slightly finer at short fine leg. And that's snuck through the ring on the offside, and that'll be 4. That's unfortunate for Tyson, but I don't think she'll be too disappointed with that. It was a ball tight to the off stump. If White Hodge is going to take that risk to try and split the ring on the offside and succeeds, occasionally you've got to say, well played.
Apologise, I threw down the river wrong. Georgia Adams is actually on the ring. I think it's Bex Tyson.
Well, she's bowling.
Who's doing the, oh no, I don't know who's doing the hokey-cokey. Too many blondes.
Well, whoever it is has just done a very fine job at cutting the ball off at short fine leg.
Daisy Gibb, my last suggestion, and then I'll shut up.
I'm very excited.
Hmm? What, for me to shut up?
Well, no, never that. Swept behind square in the deep. Should be 1 run, but I've got good news for you, Georgie.
Yeah.
What's Daisy Gibb?
Oh, well, it had to be.
She said that with all the other names.
Well, is it pretty much, yeah. I'd run out of blonde players.
Massive. Another 6 from Danny White Hodge. It threatened to be a tight over for Hampshire, but the last ball of Rachel Tyson's 6. Danny White Hodge gets down on 1 knee and lifts the ball over the boundary's edge. And this Surrey surge continues. After 12 overs, the score is 118 for 1.
She's absolutely just pounced onto that, hasn't she, Danny White? She's not really had to use too much power. It's the shorter boundary out towards the Archbishop Tennyson School as well, and she is absolutely flying here. 62 from 40. Obviously, like you said earlier, Surrey have really benefited from her not being part of that England ODI squad. She's loving life in light blue this season.
Well, Hampshire are going to have to turn to Freya Davies again here.
Yeah, they've got to pull a rabbit out of a hat somewhere.
3rd over for Davies. It's lofted straight, long on interested, but only has to watch it sail over her head once again. That's back-to-back 6s for Surrey. And they're just motoring along. It just gets better for the home team.
Grace Harris, 27 from 13 now, and what could have been? And she was so nearly, should have been run out. It wasn't like she hadn't scored a run at that point. She scored 1.
1 or 0, it was binary.
It was binary, very early on. And now just rubbing salt in the wounds, and not just the salt flakes, the crunchy salt.
Oh God, mould and sea salt in there.
Maybe even the chili one.
It's expensive as well doing that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's nice, I wouldn't know.
Well, the 4 fielders on the boundary for Hampshire are scattered from deep square leg all the way round to long off. So everyone in the ring kind of square on the offside. Now it's dropped into the leg side. Will Surrey look to push 2? They will. That's good running from Surrey. And Hampshire haven't done anything wrong there. It was just dropped perfectly into this gulf of space in that large leg side boundary. It is really, I cannot emphasize enough how different the boundary sizes from one side to the other are. From the kind of gasometer end side, which is to our left, to Harleyford Road to our right. talking kind of dozens, 10s or 20 yards difference in boundary length. Goes for the reverse, put down, and an overthrow for good measure.
Yeah, it's Bex Tyson. It came straight to her. It came fast, but didn't have to move at all.
And it was almost like one of those slip catches you see teams run through before a day's play, where the coach flicks it or kind of guides it to the fielder on the ring. Grace Harris made good contact, straight to the fielder, but another opportunity goes down for Hampshire. Now, Tyson underneath her again, and this time it's held. She gets a hug from her teammates. It's not the wickets. They wanted a ball ago, but you can never be too disappointed if you see the back of Danny White-Hodge. A very fine innings of 62 of 41 comes to an end. And well, I would say that Hampshire have opened up an end here, but Paige Schofield coming into the middle continues to be relentless from the home team. But a chance for Hampshire nonetheless.
Yeah, well, that moment, your heart in your mouth after you've just dropped the previous delivery, you think, oh, of course it's following me again. But it was a much easier catch the second time around. Didn't come as fast and just got her hands underneath it, take it like it's in a bucket. And finally, they see the back of Danny White-Hodge. So now both openers back in the hutch for Surrey, but 127 for 2 on the board and still plenty of overs in hand. Grace Harris absolutely flying, 30 from 16. Now just been joined by Paige Schofield, who's coming off a back of a 63 against Somerset just the other day. So you won't be too unhappy if you're Surrey to see this. And you know what else I'm not unhappy about? The fact that it's quite bright now.
Yeah, it's well spotted.
Not sure if that's English optimism.
I would say the sun is kind of glimpsing. It's having a peek through the clouds at the moment. But it feels drier than it did when we arrived.
For sure. And I've also realised that I've only just clocked. I knew I needed to look out for them, but the new floodlights.
Yes.
There are feathers, I am told. But to me, it's a flying squirrel or one of those men in the flying
Right, okay.
Yeah?
I'm sure Surrey are delighted that was your conclusion.
Yeah.
Roughly, I think, £7 trillion on the new ones.
Yeah.
To resemble their crests. Do you think it looks like a squirrel you're going for?
Well, you know when someone wears a flying squirrel suit?
Oh, right, I understand you more now,
yes.
That's Dot to start Schofield's innings. I thought you were saying they just looked like a
no,
squirrel.
I mean,
stop. And
I really would be getting my eyes
that.
tested then, if that's what I think a squirrel looks like.
Right, 13 overs gone. The score is 127 for 2. Hampshire claiming their second wicket of the innings there, and first of the innings for Freya Davies. They'll just be looking to try and pump the brakes a little bit. Surrey will be aiming for north of 200. And if Hampshire keep them below that, they'll shake hands on that now.
I do like the different shaped floodlights. There's sort of individuality at different grounds around the country. You've got the white roses up ahead of me.
Yep.
And then are they shaped like an E at Edgbaston? I want to say they are.
Could well be. I feel like your floodlight knowledge is far superior to mine.
I didn't realise, maybe that'd be my mastermind subject. Look at pictures of floodlights and tell me where we are.
Charlie Knott to bowl from the Vauxhall end. But I think people would be delighted to know that you are noticing them. They're spending a lot of cash on it. Well, that's a wild hack from Harris. Into the leg side, they'll just get one. Maya Boucher doing the fielding. Left out of the England squad so far this year, but it's had a very fine season for Hampshire, so wouldn't be surprised if we saw her back in England colours before long.
Yeah, she had a very difficult Ashes, did Maya Boucher. Really struggled.
Well, the fielders on the offside have all shuffled around square. There's no one behind square on the offside at the moment. I'll be interested to see if Schofield goes to the reverse sweep at all. Well, that's a poor ball from Knott. She's just moved her fielders kind of away from the backward square region. She's dragged it short, given Schofield width. She was able to open her account. She now moves on to 4 off 2.
That's really good placement as well, actually. Those fielders aren't particularly far apart, and she's managed to just bisect the two of them perfectly. The wind is really picking up. I can see it down on Ella McGacken's trousers blustering around below us.
We do have a fielding change after that shot. Fielder that had been at mid-wicket now plugs that gap. 4 on the offside. Well, they're turning for 2 here. Could be a run-out opportunity. And Harris does get back. Well, she's quicker than I was giving her credit for, because I thought she was in trouble there, but McGacken down at long on didn't do too much wrong, and Harris made it home with time to spare. There, Schofield does go for the reverse, trying to use the pace of Knott to get it fine down towards that boundary, which isn't massive in that direction. Down to short third. And aside from the boundary, it's been a tidy over so far from Knott. 1 to come. And a dot to finish. Good over for Hampshire. 14 overs gone. Scores up 135 for 2.
Yeah, so just slowing down slightly. They're being kept quiet. Good work from Charlie Knott. The Australian performing. There's an Australian out there with the bat as well. So the battle of the Aussies out there in the middle. But Paige Schofield just starting to get into her stride as well. Got her first boundary. And Grace Harris going along really nicely. 31 from just the 18 she's faced. You feel like Hampshire think, you know, I know it's easy to say, just send Harris on her way. Schofield's only just about getting into it, and they really slowed the scoring down, put the pressure back on. And 200 is going to be quite an ask for Surrey.
Well, Mary Taylor is going to bowl her second over of the innings. She could feasibly, if Hampshire wants her to, bowl out from that pavilion end. I'll be surprised given how much they've been chopping and changing.
Yeah, well, again, she's changed ends. She initially bowled from the Vauxhall end, now coming from the pavilion end. And I'm wondering what this tactic is from Georgia Adams.
Also, because the boundary dimensions are so unique today, it is a very different challenge bowling from one end to the other. Well, swing and a miss from Harris there. Importantly for Hampshire, a dot ball. But what that means is bowling from one end or the other, I imagine that bowlers would have a preference. If you're a kind of an off-spin bowler, you may be wanting to bowl from the pavilion end because you've got a bigger boundary to protect on the leg side. But no, everyone's been lumping in together and having a go from either end. That's a big slower ball. Sorry, look for the run, but decide against it.
That's a eyes light up. You've sort of thought about launching it out of the ground before it's even got to you kind of moment. You sort of played the shot twice. And Grace Harris just indicating slower ball. I think we'd clocked that it was a slower ball, Grace Harris.
This is really good work from Taylor. She deceived Surrey's batters with her change-ups.
Yeah, they have really slowed things down here. And this is good stuff from Taylor, as you said. She's changed ends and it hasn't really affected her at all.
Does she find a gap? Yes, is the answer. Another boundary to Schofield, and frustrating for Hampshire. Is that over? Just gone for 2 runs off the first 4 balls. Only 6 off 5 still now. I think you've almost got to accept that boundaries will come at this stage of the innings. If Taylor can finish this over strongly, it'll be 2 overs in a row where Hampshire will be pretty content with how proceedings have gone.
Made a great crunch off the bat as well, didn't it? The fielder for a moment thought she might be in with a chance of cutting it off, and in the end just gave up. Watched it fly to the boundary.
Lifted over mid-off. Has that gone all the way? We wait for the umpire's signal, but it could be 6 more runs to the total. No, just the 4. I beg your pardon. I thought it just snuck over from our view in the commentary box, but what threatened to be a very good over for Hampshire ends with back-to-back boundaries, and after 15 overs, Surrey still in the box seat at 145 for 2.
Yeah, very much at the moment, and they've got that platform, they've got plenty of wickets in hand, and it really does give them, they've got the opportunity to just have a swing at this one now. Grace Harris, we know how destructive she can be. I don't know which of her bats she's got out there today, but she names them all after burgers, so if she's got a whopper, it's going a long way. Don't know what other burgers you go for. I can't imagine she's into the sort of vegan mushroom burger. And it's the round arm of Georgia Adams, smacked straight back past her. 4 more to the total and 4 more to Grace Harris.
You could have the Zinger burger, I guess.
The Zinger, yes.
The Big Mac, the quarter pounder.
Oh.
I'm an expert.
I gathered. I just don't think she'd be going for a vegan burger. It just doesn't seem like it'd be up her street.
There's a bit of meat in the bone. I heard she's an accomplished reader. Is that, can you be an accomplished reader? Is that a thing?
You can read.
You can read. You get your badges in reading.
Grace Harris can read. Well, there you go. I wouldn't have very many reading badges at the moment, I don't think.
You used to do your swimming lessons.
Frosty's badges. I still have a towel with them all sewn on.
Oh, nice.
I can swim, you know.
Accomplished swimmer and reader, Georgie.
20 metres or whatever. This again, she goes aerial this time, Harris. And Maya Boucher slips and it's just gone over her. Sort of skidded. She's one of the best fielders in this side, Boucher. And she's just holding her shoulder. I think she's all right. We had a bit of a windmill around.
It's uncomfortable for Boucher there. The ball bounced at an awkward place in front of her. It's just kind of skipped over the fielder. 4 boundaries in a row here from Surrey.
And make that another. Well, we said they had the platform to accelerate on, and they've not just gone springboard, they've gone full trampoline. Multiple flips and really flying here now. Grace Harris, 44 from 24, and Paige Schofield, 16 from 8, so striking at 200. So very happy dugout it will be for Surrey at the moment.
That run rate for the first time this innings has ticked above 10 and over. It's been hovering just below it pretty much since we were around the 6th or 7th over, but now officially Surrey will be looking to take their score above 200. And a change of angle for Georgia Adams. She's coming round the wicket.
That struck hard, and this could well be another 4. Well stopped, Ella McCacken flying round. The throw is a little wayward, but she's saved 2 there. Gets a high 5 from Maya Boucher.
It's a wonderful piece of fielding by McCacken. The ball racing along the carpet. She dives full length with a bit of assistance from the slick outfield. Sticks out a hand and saves her team 2 runs.
Strays leg side. Does Adams. 1 more to the total. Yeah, she had a great winter out in Australia, McCacken. Winter, summer, whichever you want to refer to it as. Nicely clipped away by Harris. Yeah, scoring runs for fun, she was. Ella McCacken playing grade cricket over in Sydney. Quite a few of these players been out in Australia over the winter. Live summer to summer, sounds pretty good. Back over the head again, and it's going to bisect the 2. No, McCacken comes round. Communication is good between her and Boucher. Or there could have been a collision. Finishes off the over. So at the end of 16, Surrey 163, just the loss of 2 wickets. Grace Harris, 47 from 26, being kept company by Paige Schofield, 18 from 9.
So Georgia Adams, I believe she plays her club cricket for Manly.
She does, and
over
so do a lot of the New South Wales Breakers side.
Okay, so but would McCacken and Georgia Adams therefore been playing club cricket against each other?
Yes. Yes, and then they were obviously both part of the Vipers together as well. So they know each other very well. Who else was out there? Stair Callis, obviously, she scored a rapid half-century yesterday for the Bears on loan from Yorkshire. She was out there playing at Gordon. Runs for fun. Back to a bit of pace. That is massive. Stand and deliver. Grace Harris brings up her 50 with an enormous 6. Welcome to Surrey, welcome to the party, and that is Grace Harris.
A wonderful innings continues from Harris. That missed run-out opportunity, I'm sorry to go back to it, from Hampshire when Harris was on 0 or 1. It's going to be so painful for the visiting team. And Harris doesn't look like stopping yet.
I think she's managed to just get a tickle of pad or something on that because it's not been signalled wide. I thought it was going to be wide down the leg side. As the sun comes out, Cameron Ponsonby, the sun is out. My eyes do not deceive me.
I told you it was a 50-50 chance. We didn't know. Was it going to rain all day or was it going to be sunny all day? It's looking sunny at the moment. We've got shadows. There are whole shadows on the ground.
And it's not even from the floodlights. Oh. What a time to be alive, especially for Grace Harris, and you were given that life and you've now scored 50. Just nicely weighted.
We are just beginning to see a handful of spectators making their way through the gate. I think an hour and a half ago, if you peeked outside your curtains in South London, saw it raining and thought, I'll hold off for a little bit. Now, sun's out, people have done their half day of work.
Off, yeah.
They can pretend to sign off, they can make their excuses. Just start to fill up over the course of the afternoon and witness, hopefully, from Surrey's point of view, a successful run chase.
Firmly struck, this time just all along the carpet. I've actually had a few messages from people saying, what's the weather doing at the Oval? So they're already thinking of heading, and you know what? Even if it were raining, there's still plenty to do around here.
It's one of my least favourite questions to answer if I'm ever kind of away covering a tour. And people message me and they go, what's the forecast for the next few days? I go, I've got the same internet as you.
Yes.
I don't know.
100%.
I can tell you right now, it's bright at the Oval-ish.
Well, that's definitely not gone by Paige Schofield. She was intending to send that towards the pavilion. It's managed to trickle down towards fine leg.
Well, despite the first ball of this over going for 6, only been 2 runs scored off the following 4 deliveries, so this could still be a successful over for Hampshire. Well bowled by Gibb. It's her final ball of her 4 over spell.
And she aborts this time. Very bustling run, hasn't she? Sort of elbows jutting out. Got to get to the supermarket before it closes at 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. That's how I bustle to the supermarket.
Perfect technique. The bowl little in swingers
and then,
down the aisles.
yeah, exactly. Heaved away, going to be cut off on the bounce. And after all that, just one more to the total. Brings the over to a close. Surrey will be very happy with this. 172 for 2 after 17 overs. So 3 to come. 200s on the cards, surely.
And the rest. I think Surrey will be looking, especially with these two at the crease. You know the power they do have. We had 5 boundaries in a row just a matter of kind of 10 deliveries ago. If they can string together a few more 4s and 6s, they'll be looking up towards 210. I don't get the feeling that this is par at the moment. I think Surrey is slightly ahead of the rate. We saw the first 4 overs with the new ball. Surrey's openers finding it difficult to score. We do have an unusual sized ground. There are pockets where the ball will get held up rather than race away for boundaries all the time. So I think so far, Surrey will be pleased with their work.
So Charlie Knott has been handed the ball again. Hangs this wide,
Ow.
and that is really hurt, but she's stuck out her left boot. I mean, the women's Euros side has just been in. If we can find her an English passport, get her in.
It's never worth it. I don't know how she's still walking at the moment. Threw a boot at it. It's come right off the bottom of her sole. S-O-L-E, that is.
Again, just one more to the total. Well, the thing is, so this Hampshire side made 215 for 3.
That's a very good point.
Just last week. The 5th highest T20 women's score ever. So they can score runs for fun. So they want to get something really big on the board here, Surrey, because they know that Hampshire have got the power to chase it down. Charlie Knott with ball in hand. Well, that's going to add to it. 6 more off the bat of Grace Harris.
It's been an exhibition of power hitting from Harris here. I'd love to say it was all touch and mystique and intrigue. She's been using that bottom hand and clearing the ropes with regularity. And Surrey now onto 180. 200 looks an inevitability at the moment.
Goes again this time, not quite timed. So just one more to Harris. She moves on to 63 from 34. Paige Schofield, 20 from 11 at the other end. They're into the 180s now, Surrey. Again, hung outside the off stump. And somehow, actually, it's done a really good bit of work. Naomi Ditani flying around. She had to make up a lot of space. Georgia Adams was evaded, and Ditani came sprinting round from the deep cover boundary.
Well, that's exactly that pocket of the ground we've been referring to. Both long off and deep cover point were able to kind of meet each other at extra cover, because it's such a weird little kind of peninsula of the boundary rope.
Goes aerial again, 6 more, and this time Paige Schofield has joined the party. This is turning into a batting masterclass from the team in blue. 189 now up on the board. 18 overs gone, 189 for 2.
Well, the runs continue to flow, and Surrey continue to motor, but you're absolutely correct to highlight the top 5 of Hampshire. With McCacken and Boucher at the top of the order, they've been one of the stars of the domestic circuit this year. You've also got Georgia Adams, so experienced, a run machine of the domestic game, supplemented by Charlie Knott, the overseas. And Freya Kemp is back in action today. She's only played 1 match for Hampshire this year. It was the first match of this round. She made 20 not out for around 12, 13 deliveries. So we've definitely got a game on our hands, even with Surrey motoring along.
Grace Harris scoops it up, tries to be innovative, and finally they see the back of the Australian, but not before she's put in a hell of a lot of damage. 63 she's made. She was, well, she could have been out without scoring. Run out should have been out. She's on her way now. The 3rd wicket goes down, and Surrey 189 for 3.
Well, it might be too little too late for Hampshire in terms of Grace Harris's innings, but it's still a vital wicket at this stage of the match. We've seen Harris clearing the ropes with ease. She's striking close to 200 to just get that change of batter. A new player at the crease. It looks like it's going to be Kieran Chatley coming out to bat. And Chatley, compared to Harris, yes, she can score quickly, but she isn't that same kind of power player who's going to be launching the ball straight over the fielders that long on and long off. That'll just be a little bit of respite for Hampshire. Give them a better chance of keeping this total as small as possible.
Now, I saw Kira Chatley in that T20 Cup final against Lancashire, and she was really trying to take on Kate Cross. And in the end, smashed her for 2 big boundaries, and then eventually got rid of her. And she was given a send-off. Here comes Davis. Goes aerial straight away this time, and won't get her off the mark. We're losing the sun again, Cam.
No, don't say it. I disagree.
It went with Grace Harris.
I'm an optimist. That's a good point, actually. Harris brought the light. And with her, it departed.
Brought the light, brought the power. Definitely brought that one. But it was Freya Davis who saw the back of her, and she continues now. Moved very early. Kira Chatley, she's going to be run out here. No. Yes, Julia Jarvis, the slow straight arm. And that's Kira Chatley on the way.
I'm not really sure what's happened there, Georgie. Kira Chatley has made a lovely sweep down to short fine. Set off for a run. Paige Schofield kind of looked a bit bemused back at her. Well, no. There's no time. We'll be out. And Chatley, despite never leaving her crease by more than 2 or 3 yards, has somehow got to walk back to the pavilion. Sharp work from Hampshire. And that'll be, again, it's a dot ball, it's a wicket, it's a new batter at the crease who has to take potentially a ball or two to find their feet. This is a good little recovery from Hampshire at the back end of this innings.
Yeah, and that's the thing also, isn't it? Coming into the back end, they know that Surrey have absolutely flown, especially through those middle overs, but just drag it back and sort of bring the momentum, swing it in their direction to give them that sort of oomph as they come in to trying to chase this down after the change of innings. So Phoebe Franklin comes out to the middle now.
Well, Franklin's been in good form with the bat of late. 58, 20 and 41 her last 3 innings.
Very little foot movement for her first delivery.
I tell you what, I don't want to say it. It is getting,
say it anyway.
It's getting really murky at the moment.
Maybe it's time for the flying squirrels.
Good point. Flying squirrels for those just tuning into the floodlights, of course. What else could we be talking about?
Good running as well. Threatened the throw, decided against it. Daisy Gibb, and wisely so. Don't want to be giving away overthrows.
Well, there's just 1 ball remaining of this over. Schofield will be very keen to pinch the strike for the next over, so I'm wondering whether Schofield will just look to take 1.
Goes inside out this time, and is going to pick up 4 over cover. 4 more to the total, 4 more to Paige Schofield, who's absolutely flying. She shows no signs of slowing down. Surrey move on to 194 for 4, with 1 over still to play.
Well, she did not look for 1. She looked for 4 and got it. I imagine Phoebe Franklin's task at the start of this over will be to get Schofield back on strike. But everyone so far in this Surrey batting lineup, the top 4 at least, contributed in such an effective manner. Bryony Smith, the captain, 33 off 20. Danny White-Hodge, 62 of 41. Grace Harris, 63 off 35. Paige Schofield now 32 off 14, striking it well above 200. And tasked with bowling the final over is going to be Charlie Knott.
Yeah, I like this choice as the final over. You've got a new batter out in the middle in Franklin, 1 from 2. Schofield waiting at the non-strikers. Schofield is out at long on and deep mid-wicket. She pushes this wide outside the off stump. Good running. That's exactly what they needed to do. She managed to get some bat on it, Franklin, and got Schofield back on strike. 5 still to come, 195 for 4.
Started watching Prison Break again. All this talk of Schofield.
Oh,
Michael
okay.
Schofield.
I thought you
no
just
relation
decided.
to Paige. It wasn't completely a tangent.
I started Geordie Shaw again, but, you know, has a big wild swing at this one. Paige Schofield has gone directly behind the stumps, and she could get 4. She's going to get 4.
I've not understood the pacing of this outfield or the direction the ball is travelling at all over the course of this innings.
Would you like my glasses?
I would love some form of eye enhancement at the moment, because that ball has trickled all the way to the boundary. Charlie Knott did not bowl that particularly quickly. Schofield got a hefty edge on it, and yet it still makes it to the boundary's edge. 4 more.
Pushing square leg out onto the boundary. Extra cover comes in. So 3 out on the rope on the leg side. And she uses her feet and tries to take this on. Goes aerial. Ella McCacken sets herself, watches it fly over the boundary, brings up the 200 in style. Paige Schofield pushes them up to 205 with a big old 6.
It's a wonderful shot. She's just given herself space. Charlie Knott has taken pace off the ball there to force her to make a decision that if you want to hit me down the ground for 6, you're going to have to time it beautifully, perfectly. And she did exactly that.
This time not quite timed into the onside, so 1 more to the total.
We had a bit of beauty in the beast there from Schofield. The 6 beforehand, elegant, perfect. And that one was a wild hack across the line. But Schofield, 43 off 17, such an important innings in the context of this match.
Moves early, swings across the line. It will be cut off, not cleanly, out on the boundary. They do think about a second. It's that old adage, isn't it? Don't run on the misfield.
I think they just decided who would they rather have out in the middle there to face one last delivery, Schofield or Franklin. 43 off 17, Schofield was the answer.
Well, this is hit out or get out. Shuffles down the pitch. Well, there were 2 choices. It was hit out or get out. She chose hit out. She executed it perfectly. Finishes the innings with a 6, and this is quite some score from Surrey. 213 for 4 they finish with, and it's going to be a hell of a chase for Hampshire when they have to come out and bat. Striking all the way through the innings. They started slightly slowly the first 2 overs and then really just put the petrol in, and they pushed up through the gears and just absolutely flew. Grace Harris on debut was given a life, took advantage of that one, and just an inspired batting innings from Surrey. This is going to be quite some score to chase. 214 Hampshire are going to need here today at the Kia Oval, and what a great start to professional women's cricket at the Kia Oval. The first of the 2 double headers here today, and runs galore. And we're going to just run you through the scores. Bryony Smith went for 33, Danny White-Hodge a well-made 62, 63 from 35 for Grace Harris. Paige Schofield finishes unbeaten on 49. Kira Shatley went without troubling the scorers, and Phoebe Franklin 3 not out at the end. 2 wickets for Freya Davis and 1 for Georgia Adams, but it was the batting that really did the storytelling. And sorry, they've put up 213 for 4 in their 20 overs. So we're going to go for a short break now. We're going to hope that the weather stays fair, and we'll be back with you very shortly for the chase.
Catch this.
Yes to all of the above.
Yes.
Sorry,
yeah. Oh, Cameron is very loud now.
Now, yeah, this is weird.
And I sound like I'm inside a Coke can.
Welcome back to the Kia Oval for Surrey's defence of a mammoth total of 213. Hampshire's opening batters are out in the middle. Maya Boucher will be taking strike. She's joined by Ella McCacken, two of the form players in the country at the moment. So when you see that scoreboard and that total of 213, don't for a second think this is game over. Hampshire will have a very strong chance of chasing this down. With ball in hand for Surrey, there's Kalia Moore bowling some off spin. She opened the bowling in the previous match against Somerset as well. So this is a tactic we have from Surrey. On a boundary to begin proceedings. Just dropping short there, Moore, and Boucher quick to pounce and lift it over square leg. I'm Cameron Ponsonby, and most importantly, I'm joined by Georgie Heath to talk you through this second innings. Georgie.
Oh, what an opening, what an introduction.
What an opening.
I've got a lot to live up to there, though, haven't I?
Of course. Doing so with ease as well.
With aplomb.
Hampshire will scamper through for a single there. What do you make of Hampshire's chances in this run chase? Yes, on the one hand, 200 is always going to be a lot, but we've seen a lot of boundaries kind of sneaking off in bizarre directions.
We have,
20
yes.
So far.
I think that they're going to have to come out firing early on. We saw a few quiet overs from the Surrey openers up the top, and then they really accelerated through. But if these two can break the back of it early on and make a strong partnership, as we know they can, as they have done.
McCacken off the mark.
Then we could be in for a very exciting finish as more and more people roll in to the Kia Oval. They've sort of been perturbed by the weather at times this afternoon, but finishing work, pretending to work from the stadium, from the stands.
Boucher down the ground, and that is perfect. Lifted for 6, just when we were talking about how we have a match on our hands here. 200 is not looking like loads at the moment, with Hampshire on 12 off the first 4 deliveries. There's not finding much spin out there, the spinners, and Boucher just takes a couple steps down the ground and lifts that ball towards the pavilion for 6.
Now, we've seen a few boundaries today that have just not quite been out the middle, have been slightly ugly, and that was just sensational. Perfect, stand and deliver, great timing. Didn't have to really use too much effort and power. She's a fit, young, strong player and just launches it back over Kalia Moore.
And that's 4 more as well. Power with one delivery, precision with the next. And this is a fantastic start for Hampshire.
And obviously Boucher missing out on those ODIs for England as well, so another batter just keeping her name in the forefront of Charlotte Edwards' mind.
Atop her mind.
Atop her mind.
That's what I say.
No, but it is now.
Well, is the fielder interested? She is, and that's out. Over to the longest part of the ground, and that is such a crucial wicket for Surrey. And just as all things look to be heading in Hampshire's direction, Boucher has to go. It's Phoebe Franklin with the catch out on the fence, and it's been an action-packed start here at the Kia Oval.
It really has, hasn't it? Well, actually, my eyes then deceiving me again. I thought she probably got a hold of that one, but that's that really long boundary out to our left as we look from the commentary box. On the other side, that was flying into the stands almost, but she just not quite got enough on it, and Phoebe Franklin did well in the end to make up ground and get both hands to it. Boucher on her way. She can be so dangerous and destructive at the top of this innings, and this is just the start that Surrey needed.
Well, that ball landed exactly in the kind of pockets of Surrey's design. It's one of the kind of quirks or the added bits of tactical nous you can have in the women's game, which you can't in the men's. In the men's game, they set the boundary basically as far out as they possibly can, and it goes to the edge. With the women's game, they bring it in a little bit, and you can play around with it however you want. So Surrey often pick and choose which parts of the boundary they want to be a bit bigger, which parts they want to be a bit shorter. And that time, I would love it to be the case that kind of Johan Myberg, Surrey's head coach, has had this master plan. Boucher, she times the ball well into the mid-wicket direction, but doesn't hit the ball, only hits the ball 70 yards, not 75. Either way, it's Tilly Courtine-Coleman to open the bowling from the other end. She's on the money straight away.
That's just what they needed. We thought that Boucher was going to come out and just really break the back of this chase, didn't we, up the top? And she went some straight away. Massive sticks straight back over the bowler's head, but in the end, bowler has the last laugh.
Well, that'll be 4 more. We've mentioned this across the course of this innings. Whenever the ball is struck in a certain direction, we haven't been able to quite gauge how well it's been hit. And that time from McCacken, who's been in such fine form, she advanced down towards us and seemed to almost kind of splice the ball straight. She gets 4 for her efforts. I've got a statistical quirk for you.
Oh,
McCacken.
okay. Yep.
It's not that interesting, but I like it. That's short and wide. McCacken finds the gap and will get 4 more. 8 runs in 2 deliveries for Hampshire, and the action-packed start continues. 24 for 1. Just 8 balls, 9 balls of this innings so far. So, you ready?
I am. It's not a statistic of how often people pronounce her name wrong.
Well, I've got an anecdote to follow up with that as well.
Oh. Pulling them all out the bag.
I know. It's a very special day. First game of the season, this T20 Blast, McCacken made 68. Second game, how many runs did she score?
68.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And what I like about it is it was 68 not out, so it was an improved 68.
Oh, yes. Okay. 68 star, you know.
Well, so on the topic of McCacken's name, I think her name provides kind of nightmares for linguists all over the world, because you'll be able to see on your screens it's spelt McCorn.
Yes.
McCorhan.
McCorhan, yes.
And so I remember you said earlier this year, I'm pretty sure it's McCacken because her nickname's Macca.
Yeah.
And I checked with our colleague Melissa Story, who commentates on Hampshire and Southern Vipers previous years a lot, and she confirmed it is McCacken. And so that doesn't mean I didn't trust you. I just wanted a second opinion.
Yeah.
That's found one of those pockets we've been referring to, and Charlie Knott is able to scamper 2 to get off the mark. Second over of this innings gone. The score 27 for 1.
No, it's a real thing, the name thing, though. You know, you get some really tricky ones. I went over and did some Asia qualifiers, and suddenly I was handed the Chinese team sheet about 5 minutes before the start of play, and I thought I'd done my research, and then sometimes they give you voice recording. They give you a voice recording of how the coach pronounces the names. But the coach and I have very different sounding voices and accents when we say them anyway, so it gets very tricky. And then some of them, it's a difficult hole you can fall down. I can tell you that.
I do find the voice recordings from players is where you really want them, because then it's perfect. But a big moment here at the Kia Oval, as bowling from the pavilion end is Tash Farrant, back in action after almost a year out of injury. She was kind of tracking to be fully fit for the beginning of this season, had a few injury setbacks, but here she is, ball in hand from the pavilion end, tasked with bowling this 3rd over of the innings in this power play. The 2 fielders out on the boundary are out square, deep square leg, and cover point out, everyone else in the ring. She starts on the money, a single for McCacken.
I just really wanted the DJ to throw some guess who's back out around the ground as she
missed a trick. Well, everyone can always improve.
Well, someone can always put it out on socials later. If she takes a wicket, that's what I want as the audio over the top. Doesn't need to be our voices. Bit of Shady's back.
Well, I don't know how I'd feel about this if I was Tash Farrant. Second ball back, and Kira Chatley's immediately gone, I'll come up to the stumps. This isn't quick enough for me to be 10 yards back.
I'm just enjoying how wonderfully symmetrical the fielding is.
Well, we're having Farrant is gesturing to someone to move. I haven't seen a single fielder move while following her instruction. Maybe the fielder out at cover point, shuffle a bit to their right. She finds that hard length to begin with, just coming for the splice of Knott's bat. I was out in Rome last week commentating on
yes, I did want to know about this.
The ICC Women's T20 World Cup Europe Division 2 qualifier, which you had to get right when doing the post-match presentation and the recorded bit. So I've got that ingrained in my brain. Well bowled again from Farrant, another dot ball, just 1 run for the first 3 balls of this over. with Jersey, Isle of Man, Italy, Germany, Sweden.
Gunjan Shukla playing for Sweden? Or maybe she's retired now.
I don't think she was. I only did one Sweden match, so I could be incorrect.
A very good looking side, Jersey. Young side.
I can tell you a lot of things about Jersey if you want.
There you go.
It's driven up past mid-on, and that will be 4. Still okay for Surrey. 5 runs off 4 balls with the run rate required for Hampshire up at 10.5. You can just be conceding effectively. If you want to just go at 10, you need to be scoring around 2 boundaries and over. So if you can just keep that to 1, from Surrey's perspective, you'll be all right.
Made a slightly too full from Farrant now on the half volley, well dug out. The player of Charlie Knott's class and experience isn't going to miss out on that one. She had an incredible WNCL this year. People were sort of calling it a breakout year. Well, actually, she's been great the last few years, but this time topped the run scoring in the league stages. They got to the final, Queensland, where they eventually lost to Georgia Adams' New South Wales Breakers.
That's a full toss. An attempted slower ball. Because of that expanse on the leg side, Phoebe Franklin in the deep is able to sweep up and keep it to 1. I was learning about jerseys. So I was talking to their CEO of cricket, Sarah Gomersall.
She's a very nice lady.
We run in similar circles.
We do, don't we? It's weird. It's, yeah, well.
Plucking out obscure administrative names from kind of Jerseyan cricket and being all over it. There's a wide ball. It gives us more time to talk about Jersey cricket.
I just happened to spend some time in Jersey doing some qualifiers a few years ago. I think it was possibly the windiest week of my life.
Oh, wow,
The wind, no, I'm not, anyway, moving away. It was a wind burn all over my face, basically, by the end of it. It was not well protected, the grounds in Jersey.
Gotcha. Noted. I'm going to be out there end of August.
Oh, very nice.
Think about a single shy at the non-striker's end. It misses. The world continues. And after 3 overs, it's 34 for 1.
So back to your qualifiers.
I will. I know. I'll get this one fact about Jersey. I don't know what the right word is. Jerseyan?
Jerseyan.
Either way. It's been going on too long, this already. Basically, a couple of years ago, they hosted that same event, the Division 2 qualifier, and Jersey performed way better than they expected. And it basically gave them a kind of, Sarah Gomersall was explaining it as a renaissance of women's cricket, where they really backed it, because the island's so small, there's a huge amount of kind of like national pride. So they've pumped money into it, they've got a specialist women's coach in, and they're now really kind of shooting for the top. They had a player called Grace Weatherall, only 18 years old, who looked really, really talented cricketer. Alexa Stonehouse into the attack from the Vauxhall end. That's a beautiful delivery to start with. It's unusual for Surrey to have 2 left-arm seamers in Farrant and Stonehouse kind of bowling in tandem. We haven't seen that much swing yet, though, kind of back into the right-handers' pads.
No, we haven't. And we thought we might see a little bit of in-swing early on, didn't we, in the Hampshire innings, and not really much of that either. And then just some good pace. And then obviously we had the golden arm of Georgia Adams in the middle.
That's really well played from Knott. 4 runs, but she's kind of cut that from almost her kind of midriff region, leaning back, giving herself space, and angling it down to that 3rd mile boundary. So in the Vitality Blast, this competition, they'll be using the white kookaburra.
Yes.
And then in the T20 Women's County Cup, they were trialling a Newbury ball. I don't even know if I find this interesting myself, but I'm just going to give you information. And the players' kind of feedback was it was just really hard. I know that sounds a ridiculous way to describe a cricket ball.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so much harder than normal. It feels odd. And after the game, our co-commentator Kirsty White, who of course used to play for Surrey, showed me a ball and said, "This looks hard, Cam." And I was like, "Yep, I agree." Well, almost a chance at short third for Courtine Coleman, but instead it's 4 more to the total for Charlie Knott. And this match is just mirroring, resembling the contest between these two sides at Beckenham earlier this year. Surrey posted 200 plus total, and then Hampshire get off to an absolute flyer. Well, I believe that scorecard is up to date. So we're on 42 for 1 after 3.3 overs. So a run rate of exactly 12, 2 runs a ball being scored. Pushed up towards mid-off. They're able to come through for 1. Well, Stonehouse has been hard done by so far. 2 boundaries off this over, but I feel like she's been bowling quite well.
Yeah, sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? Second boundary wasn't really very comfortable from Charlie Knott, but swung hard enough to manage to use the pace and find the boundary. Despite the rain, it seems to be a very quick outfield.
Well bowled from Stonehouse. Right up kind of that Yorker length. I'm excited, Georgie. I think we've got a good match on our hands.
I think we very much have, yeah. We thought 213 looked a pretty hefty score, but the way they've come out and started, Maya Boucher, yes, she's back in the hutch, but she started well, she was playing one way and one way only, and that's how she got out in the end. But Charlie Knott doesn't hang about either. 16 from 9.
There's that width again, and a misfield in the covers. Frustrating for Surrey.
Tash Farrant just offering her apologies to both the bowler and her captain.
4 overs gone, scored 44 for 1. I think that is the downside of returning to playing cricket. You're out for ages and you're excited to get back on the field, bat and bowl, but then you have to remember you've also got to do fielding. You go, oh God, it's cold.
It's cold. That's the thing. It's cold. That's where the problem lies. Get your hand warmers in your pockets.
Well, have I told you about this earlier on this season? I remember interviewing Mason Crane, the leg spinner, last year, and he was talking about kind of April hands and playing in the freezing cold, and how guys would strap those heat packs all around their body, which you're meant to use for kind of like lower back injuries. And he said that guys would just basically tattoo themselves all over their body. To kind of give themselves any chance of keeping warm. So you'd have 3 pairs of whites on, hand warmers in the pockets.
Yeah, a pair of leggings underneath.
Absolutely.
I think I'm one day going to invest in one of those heated gilets that you can plug in and charge, like an electric blanket.
I think I'm morally opposed to gilets.
Oh, I'll get the full sleeve jacket one instead then.
Thank you. Out. Charlie Knott trying to give herself space to hit the ball over that offside ring, but succeeds only in finding Danny White-Hodge. And whilst the runs are flowing for Hampshire, so are the wickets for Surrey. And I think after 4.2 overs, the home team will be the happier of the 2 teams.
Yes, a great catch actually from Danny White-Hodge. She's a marvellous fielder. Diving forward, gets both hands under it, and it's the veteran White-Hodge and the youngster Courtine Coleman that work in tandem to get rid of the very dangerous overseas Charlie Knott.
Well, it's amazing how quickly things change in this format of cricket. Just 2 balls have really gone Surrey's way across the course of this innings, but 2 early wickets with such a large score on the board, so valuable to Bryony Smith's team.
I think what's also notable is they've taken their chances. We've had a few drop catches, we had a missed run out of Grace Harris, and we saw how costly that proved. And then their heads just sort of went down a bit in the field. They got a little bit sloppy, leaking runs, overthrows Hampshire, and they needed to be more clinical, and that's what really elevated Surrey's score. But Surrey have taken their catches so far. That's all you need to do. Catch comes to you, take it, on your way. Done.
Well, Freya Kemp is in at 4, ahead of her skipper, Georgia Adams. We didn't see Freya Kemp with ball in hand. She's had a real tough time of injuries over the last few years.
And I don't mind this, actually, pushing Kemp above Adams. Adams is more of an accumulator.
That's beautiful from McCacken. A couple of steps down the track, places the ball to the right of mid-off and gets 4.
Whereas Freya Kemp can hit a long ball when required. Obviously, when she first burst onto the scene, it was way more as a sort of pace bowler, and she had that stress fracture in her back. She played in Commonwealth Games, aged just 17, part of that squad there. Obviously, Bryony Smith out here as well. Danny White-Hodge, there's a number of those England girls around, Maya Boucher, of course. But Freya Kemp came into that squad and she was such a youngster, got the stress fracture in her back, and then so really worked on her batting. And she was down at the Vipers with Charlotte Edwards in charge and came out, turns out, can hit a very long ball. So she really got pushed up the batting orders in every team she was playing. And she's coming above Adams today because she is that big hitter.
It's amazing how common that story is becoming in cricket. Of bowlers who, or fast bowlers who get a stress fracture, then are unable to bowl for so long, but they continue practicing. And they end up becoming far more proficient with the bat as a result. You've got two players in this match, in Freya Kemp and Tash Farrant. You've also got Jamie Overton in the men's game, where he was signed by, I believe it was Adelaide Strikers, maybe Brisbane Heat, one of the blue teams in the BBL. Forgive me if I haven't got that spot on. And he said to him, to be honest, mate, we signed you for your batting, not your bowling. It's kind of a bonus. Anyway, 5 overs gone. The score is 53 for 2. It looks like Alexa Stonehouse is going to continue from the Vauxhall end. I beg your pardon?
Tash Farrant has decided to change ends. So they're just following. I thought you were off to take yourself to the chair in the corner for a moment then.
To punish myself for misidentifying a player.
Go and put Cam in the corner. But no, Tash Farrant changing ends this time. Bowled just the 1 over so far, went for 7 on her return to competition. It'll just be 1 off the first ball of the over. And also I've decided with the stress fracture thing and just injuries as a bowler in general, it is so bad for your body, bowling. If you watch a bowler, especially in slow motion, and you can just see that force through the leg, your shin splints, your ankles, your back, nothing about it is natural.
Well, there was that amazing quote from, it was during COVID, and I believe it was Rory Dollard from the Press Association, a journalist, interviewed this kind of like top scientist, doctor about of the back. And they were talking about how basically the reason why bowlers are able to withstand the forces is because they build such bone density through the repetition of the action. So the only denser bone in the world than a fast bowler's like lower lumbar is a rhino's horn. There you go.
Huge. Sensational fact. Well weighted. I think there should be 2 on offer here. Yeah, a little slip from Danny White-Hodge out in the deep.
I've got another one.
Oh, stop it. You do treat us, don't you, Cameron?
And so, they spoke about the problem that a lot of fast bowlers had and why there were so many stress fractures after COVID was because everyone had just been sat at home doing nothing. So they weren't able to maintain that bone density. They were losing their bone density. I'll let Tash Farrant bowl this ball and then I'll come back to you.
Okay. She's been working on her bone density. It's just going to land safely between 3 fielders, this one, and going to pick up 4 more. And McCacken moves on to 23.
Well, again, I think Farrant won't be too disheartened with where that 4 has gone. If the Hampshire batters are going to take their risk by going over the fielder in the ring, it's kind of the only option they do have. And occasionally, batters play well, and that was another occasion. Another example of that from McCacken, but more importantly, the bone density.
Yes, the bone density.
So they registered a kind of loss of bone density in fast bowlers that they'd only previously seen in astronauts returning from space.
Whew.
Exactly.
But have you ever sent a rhino into space and seen what the horn density is like? That's well bowled from Farrant. Good response.
That boundary just prompted a field change, so that mid-wicket where the ball had been struck over is now moved around to square leg, and they have put 2 fielders out on the fence, deep mid-wicket and long on.
1 more to come in this second over from Farrant. The left armour back in action at the top of her mark. Shuffles down at this one, finds the gap, and that's going to be 4 more. 4 off the final ball of the over. Score moves on to 64. Ella McCacken continues her good form. She moves on to 27. So the end of 6 overs. Hampshire 64 for 2, keeping well up with that run rate, going at 10.67, and required is 10.71. They're right in this.
Well, McCacken just further proving why she's been one of the form players in the country this year. She had a century to her name in the One Day Cup. She's had consecutive half centuries The T20 blast. Here she is again on 27 off 17, playing a leading role in Hampshire's run chase so far. It's a very elegant player. We've seen her boundaries, where we've seen Grace Harris be kind of brutal with her power today, lifting the ball over the boundary. We've seen McCacken kind of taking a couple of steps down the track to the spinners, pushing the ball for forward there. So Farrant giving herself a bit of space, kind of caressing the ball through the covers. This time it is Alexa Stonehouse, I promise.
Finds the outside edge, and it's misfielded by Alice Davison Richards. Is that?
It's Grace Harris.
Grace Harris. I just can't
ADR
see.
isn't here.
ADR, I just can't see. I actually can't see. Apologies, team. Grace Harris. Phew.
I do agree with you. I think they from 80
From
yards
afar.
away, they do appear similar. We'll have a look at this. Run rate 10.7, required run rate 10.7. It's exactly the same.
Tries to take this on, finds the outside edge, going to pick up 4. A bit of a slash at this one from Freya Kemp, but if you're going to flash, flash hard and pick up another 4. Right up with that rate. An exciting passage of play.
No, the further Hampshire can take this match, and the longer they can keep up this tempo, the more the excitement is going to grow, and the fans that are arriving going to be in for a real treat of a run chase.
Pulled away,
Oh.
back-to-back boundaries. Have some of that.
That's a wonderful shot from Freya Kemp. She was so quick on that pull shot. The line suggested that she might kind of follow it and kind of help it on its way behind square, but instead she struck the ball incredibly powerfully in front of her. I reckon that's reached the boundary in about 2.5 seconds. Consecutive boundaries for Hampshire, consecutive boundaries for Kemp. Things are looking pretty good so far for the visiting side.
Yeah, up ahead of that run rate now, 11.38 they're going at. Left armour to left-hander. Stopped in the full old-school long barrier out on that deep extra cover boundary.
She's hitting the ball really hard, Kemp.
Yeah, get down in that long barrier. I don't mind.
Well, we are out of the power play, so Surrey are able to protect those boundaries a little more. We have 4 fielders out on the fence at the moment, 3 on the leg side, 1 out at deep cover point.
Just manages to keep this down, keep it safe. Does McCacken, picks up 1 more. Stonehouse coming round the wicket to the right-hander. And then everything moves around again for that left-hand, right-hand combination.
Well, a player who's going to have such a vital role in the rest of this match is just in front of us at short fine leg. Danny Gregory, the leg spinner. You'll often see her bowl the first over outside of the power play. She's still yet to be used.
Wild swing. Oh, Alexa Stonehouse thinks she's got an edge, and she has. Well, that was just out of nowhere. Freya Kemp has a big swing at this. It was muted celebration at first. And, well, she sort of just asked the question, and the finger went up, and off she goes. Ben Peveril says, yep.
Ask is the correct word there. I don't think Stonehouse was particularly sure herself. Inquired with the umpire, has she hit that? The umpire was like, I think she has, and off she went. Freya Kemp didn't seem to like it too much. But unfortunately for her, it doesn't matter, and it is 76 for 3. And after some flashes of real quality from the left-hander, she has to go, and it's another crucial wicket for Surrey.
Yeah, just as they were looking like they were starting to get ahead, the partnership was broken again. That's exactly what they need to do. They need to keep taking wickets, because if partnerships build, we saw what happened with Wyatt Hodge and Harris. There'd been a build of the partnership, the opening pair. Bryony Smith went, and then they built again. And that's what helped get them up to that 213. So it does bring the captain out to the middle, Georgia Adams, alongside Ella McCacken, 2 former Vipers players. 2 that have spent their winters out in Australia as well, so not been a lot of off-season.
Well, we do have Danny Gregory entering the attack. fifth bowler for Surrey. You'd expect her to bowl all 4. By coming in just that over later than you sometimes anticipate for the leg spin, it means she'll be bowl 4 of the remaining 13 overs. So lots of this match will be Gregory against Hampshire from now on.
Helped on its way. It's going to be 4 off the first ball. Great start this for McCacken, looking in great touch today.
She's so quick at picking up length, McCacken. That was a bit of a long hop from Gregory. We saw it at the other end from Tilly Courtine-Coleman. As soon as she got a little bit full, she was quick to dance down the ground. She's in 32 off 19, and I don't really think we've seen a shot in anger from McCacken. It's just been kind of elegance and class.
Again, makes the pigeons fly in the air. And well stopped out on the boundary.
That's wonderful from Franklin out in the deep, because again, Gregory's dragged her length. It's a real half tracker, and McCacken thought she'd found the gap. She saved 3 runs for her team there, and in such a big run chase, those 3 runs are so important. Because if you can do that 2 or 3 times across the innings, it very quickly becomes, well, 6, 9, 12 runs in your favour.
Again, pulled away. The fielder's out on the boundaries on the leg side, doing all the work at the moment.
I think it's pretty cold out there. The ball's just getting stuck in Gregory's hand. She hasn't found her length yet, but the good news for Surrey is only 6 runs have come off the first 3 balls. They've been getting away with it-ish so far.
Grace Harris brought round to mid-on now. The ball again goes leg side and just bisects the 2 fielders. Harris out at mid-on, but fairly straight. Goes between her and deep mid-wicket, and it's 4 more to the total.
Well, this isn't the plan for Surrey and isn't the plan for Gregory. 4 balls kind of almost pitching in her half. We're now seeing a change of field. There had been mid-on in the ring, long off out, to encourage the right-hander to try and hit the ball off the front foot against the spin over mid-on. We've now changed that, so mid-off is in the ring and long on for a bit more protection on the leg side is in place.
Little extra flight this time, finds the top edge, and it's that quick outfield, and suddenly it just, last sort of 3 yards, it's just accelerates. It's as if it's dropping off a cliff. It's bizarre. It's sort of, you think the ball's slowing up and the field is catching up, and suddenly it goes whoop, across the line.
Well, that's kind of even Stevens there for Danny Gregory. A couple of the drag downs, she got away with it. That was a good flighted delivery. The outside edge goes for 4. McCacken now on 41 off 22. And he runs off this over. We'll have to count them up in a second.
Again, tries to pull this one away. Just backward of square, and there's no run. Finally, a dot ball, the final ball of the over. So 8 overs gone. Hampshire flying in this chase here, right up with that rate, 90 for 3. Ella McCacken steering the Hampshire ship.
It's a good example of just how difficult chasing these totals above 200 is, because that was a fantastic over for Hampshire and a kind of potentially quite poor over from Surrey's perspective, but it's only gone for 14. I know only going for 14 sounds bizarre, but it's only a touch above the required run rate anyway. So if you're Danny Gregory, you kind of reset after that. You go, right, that one's gone. Hopefully you get a bit more heat in your hands, you'll get a bit more control of the ball. And you can come back and almost bowl a 3 over spell and go, okay, first one didn't go well. We'll try and bowl 3 overs for less than 30. That'll be a net positive for her team.
So the return of Kalia Moore, who's just bowled the 1 over so far and went for 16, that opening over. Adams moves across early, can't get any bat on it.
I think if Moore's able to bowl tight lines here, very straight to the stumps, it'll be difficult to score. It's a big leg side boundary. You can protect with 3 fielders littered across the leg side.
This time pulled away aerially and safely. 1 more to the total. Adams thinks about a second. McCacken having none of it. 41 from 23 for Ella McCacken up the top of the order.
No 6s though, everything along the carpet. 8 4s to her name. And we are seeing that change in field now. We have kind of deep extra cover being put in place. to dissuade McCacken from giving herself a bit of room and using what pace she can.
Takes this one on the full. Great footwork again from McCacken. Almost a collision out on the boundary rope. 2 more to the total, 2 more to McCacken. And a much better over this from Kalia Moore than her first that went for 16. Pushed into that gap. There's a fielder out in the deep, so 1 more. Every time I look up, there's more pigeons. They're sort of just multiplying. It's like I'm in a Hitchcock film. Not timed again by Adams. She's almost, it's like she's trying too hard at the moment. She's got McCacken, I was about to call her Macca. She's got McCacken up the other end, who's hitting it nicely and timing it and seeing it nicely. And Georgie Adams is just struggling to get her eye in. This time does get a hold of it. It's going to land short of long on, so it'll just be 1 more. And a much better over that one from Kalia Moore. 5 runs coming from it. So at the end of 9 overs, Hampshire 95 for 3 in pursuit of that target of 214.
It's gold dust for Surrey. Just 5 runs off the over, and you see the impact it has on that run rate required immediately. Sneaking all the way almost up to 11 and over. Danny Gregory has been pulled out of the attack immediately by Bryony Smith. We haven't seen the skipper's ball in hand yet. Small spin. Phoebe Franklin's seamers are coming into the attack, however.
Phoebe Franklin's a very handy bowler to have in these sort of middle overs. She's a reliable bowler. She's again trying to join the Lionesses this summer. Sticks her foot out, flicks it up, carries on, just puts her hair behind her head and nonchalantly heads back to her mark.
I just wonder if Bryony Smith, she hasn't bowled in her last 5 matches, and she had a little bit of an injury issue that she kind of got over to get back in time and fit for the match against Durham at Guildford. I wonder if that's just kind of playing on her mind a little bit. She's not fit to bowl.
That's good length. Franklin started really well here. Starts with 2 dots. And just building that pressure after the previous over as well. Just 5 runs coming from Kalia Moore, and then this one starting with 2 dots. Everything pushing that required run rate up. Just angling in on the pads. It's good stuff, this from Phoebe Franklin. She's, you know, she's just one of those reliable bowlers you turn to at this point in the middle, sort of just think, you know, I don't want to use express pace where if they swing, they just get something on it, find a boundary. I've got my spinner's been expensive, my leg spinner. As you say, Bryony Smith might not want herself to come on because of one thing or another.
It's amazing how in such high-octane matches, the turning points can be incredibly mundane, and I think that's potentially what's happening here. We've had 9, 10 deliveries without a boundary now. 7 or 8 runs scored. That run rate has gone all the way up to 11.5 and over. It's such an important period for Surrey and Hampshire here.
Well, tries to shuffle down and take this one on, and again, it's a dot ball. Yet to concede a run, Franklin. 1 more to come in this over. What an over. Maiden over from Phoebe Franklin. The first maiden we've seen all day here at the Kia Oval, and it came just when they needed it. 5 off the Kalia Moore over before that. A maiden from Franklin. She gets high fives all around. So halfway through the chase, 10 overs gone. Hampshire 96 for 3, but almost honours even in the scores at the 10 over mark. Surrey were 98 on the board with their 10 overs.
Well, 118 required, but almost at 12 and over, or more to the point, 2 runs a ball. This is an outdated stat, but one I think is quite illustrative of how difficult it is when run rates required get this high. It used to be a case that the economy rate of a free hit was around 12 runs and over, 2 runs a ball. And so that's when teams really panicked, because effectively when you took away all risk of being dismissed, that's the rate you would score at. And that's where Hampshire are now. Now that was a statistic around 5 to 10 years old now. Free hits now scored around 17 runs and over. So we're not quite in that situation, but just to give you an example of the challenge facing Hampshire. Courtine Colvin back into the attack. More pigeons fly around.
Evasive action actually just taken out on the boundary. Hands over the head as the pigeons flying in. You need a hawk like they have at Wimbledon. Keep them away.
Well, slight rejig to the field. Cover point has run into the ring. We've got this very fashionable deep extra cover in place. McCacken, has she found that gap to the left of mid-wicket? Yes, she has. Takes her on to 48 and a much-needed boundary for Hampshire. Brings up their 100 as well. 101 for 3 after 10.2 overs. They're going to need to double it and a little bit more to take home this match. Should just be one. Out to the fielder at deep mid-wicket.
Yeah, turning tricky this now for Hampshire. That required rate up at nearly 11.8, and they're going at less than 10s. But as we say so often, 2 big overs can really change it. Just like for the bowling team, the 2 really tidy overs can sway it back in their direction. Georgie Adams again, no foot movement.
Look for potential overthrow. Wait for the umpire's signal. Was indeed given a run. Georgie Adams on 5 of 10 balls at the moment. She's in desperate need of a boundary. That was a run that got my heart going a little bit. I thought there was a chance for a run out in the middle. McCacken on 49. Well, shy at the non-striker's end. Potential for an overthrow. It's all that was a very mundane but quite exciting passage of play.
And a very mundane but exciting dot.
It was a lot of cricket for nothing to end up happening. McCacken skipped down the wicket, struck the ball just short of mid-off. They then thought about a run, having it not been caught, and none of those things then happened. That did happen, however, and that is another boundary, and that is another half-century for Ellen McCacken. She has been in superb form throughout this season, and it is now 3 consecutive T20 Blast 50s for Hampshire's opener.
Well, Ellen McCacken is just proof in the pudding that you play more cricket, you get more runs, you get better. She's been out over the winter playing heaps and heaps of cricket. She comes back in, she's just in fine form, brought that into this summer. Obviously, there's so much more cricket being played as well. We were talking about this, weren't we, with Dan as well, and he was saying you just see this incredible improvement in players because they are actually getting out there playing more cricket. And it sounds so stupid when I speak it like this.
It's beautifully played by Adams. That should be her first boundary. No. Wonderful fielding in the deep by Paige Schofield. And that is worth more than the 2 runs she stopped, because it keeps the pressure on Adams as well. Now, you're entirely right, Georgie. Who'd have thunk it? If you want to get better at something, you need to do more of it.
Yes.
Correct. Well, Phoebe Franklin will continue. Unsurprisingly, after her maiden over, it's a bit of a fudged maiden because there was a leg by, but she did not concede a run personally. So those were the first runs next to her name today. And that could be 4 more next to them. It is. Adams is away now. She moves into double figures. And this is just when the game gets teetering back in the balance. 6 runs off the first 2 balls of this over. 101 runs required to win. The run rate required is 11.6. Georgie, we still absolutely have a game on our hands.
We really do, don't we? Just a couple of boundaries to creep in, and suddenly it starts swaying back in the other direction. That's the beauty of T20 cricket.
Well, what's happened there, umps? Wide ball. There we go. Well taken down the leg side by Kira Chatley.
I wasn't sure Julia Jarvis was going to signal wide then.
So 7 off 2. Opportunity here for Hampshire. It's plugged into the leg side. It should just be one. White Hodge able to do the fielding. We see this fielding change again from Surrey, where long off is in place to Georgia Adams. But for McCacken, she moves round to deep extra cover and you have a mid-off in place because McCacken just kind of opens her hands a little bit more and plays more through the offside than straight. In that case, she tries to go over short, fine leg.
He got herself in a bit of a tangle, really. Moved across early, sort of down on one knee and then having to get off the floor again and head off down the other end as Georgia Adams comes scampering towards her. I'd sort of be able to push myself up with my bat and set off.
Up in the air. Phoebe Franklin underneath it. Down. Clashes with Adams as well. And Paige Schofield is not happy here. She's gesturing to the umpire. A number of Surrey players are inquiring about obstructing the field here.
Yeah, very interesting, that one, because you could see it was a relatively simple catch, you would have thought, for Phoebe Franklin, and she would have just been able to see that Georgia Adams was coming trundling towards her, and she was just in her eye line, heading almost directly at her, nearly a collision, and then puts the ball down.
Well, the ball is now laced out to deep square leg. The rain has started very quickly and unexpectedly. There was no real warning, and it looks as if, well, we're going to crack on and keep playing. Schofield inquires with the umpire about the catch. The umpires look over towards the changing room area. There's no ground staff manning the covers. I now can't see any more rain. We're going to be.
You can't see.
I think that's the common denominator of today is I can't see a thing somehow. We have a couple of brollies up in the crowd. The score after 12 overs is 118 for 3.
Well, a moment ago, I looked over to our right, and that sort of block of flats was quite clouded. You know, it was quite blocked over to the right, but it's cleared up over that way. So whether there's just a big bit of cloud sort of heading over, the whole sky is white. So whether I'm saying a bigger bit of cloud, a darker bit of cloud, just heading over at the moment.
I tell you what, just watching back that replay, George Adams has no idea where the ball is. But, you know, I tell you what, look it up at home and make your own mind up. Farrington to the attack. It's a slower ball. They scamper through for a single.
I like that as a solution. Look it up. Make your mind up. Let us know what you think. What did you conclude?
I don't want to cast any aspersions, but I'm a fan of skullduggery, so I look for it in all instances.
Oh, yes, me too.
Change of bowler for Surrey. Of course, powered by SSE Energy Solutions. From the first ball to the final over, let's power change together. Farrant just tinkering with her field. Harris at cover, just moving ever so slightly. Well, that's a big full toss, and that will be 4. Bit of a freebie from Farrant there. Down the leg side and just helped on the way by Adams.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she was attempting another slower ball here, but it's just slipped out of her hand. She's wiped her hands as she's gone back to the top of her mark. And it is difficult, you know, coming back into competition play, trying to just really find your length again. You know, you can bowl as much as you like in the nets, you can bowl as much as you want in practice, but nothing really matches up to proper match play.
That's beautifully timed, and that'll race away for 4. Hampshire, just when you think they're falling behind in the game, are stringing a couple of boundaries together, keeping that scoreboard ticking over. 87 to win now. Required run rate 11.6.
That partnership now at 51 between these two. McCacken been out there since the top, 56 from 35, and Georgia Adams has, well, she started slowly, didn't she? She was sort of 5 from 12 at one point, now 21 from 16, so she's really upped her scoring rate as well.
That's that slower ball from Farrant again. Well struck, but finds the fielder on the fence. And that's the difference in line of that slower ball. When it gets a bit leg side, the batter can help it along behind square where Farrant doesn't have any protection on the boundary. But if it's around off stump line and wider, they can only pull it in front of the square where those fielders are in place, ready and waiting. Well, DLS par at the moment is 125, so Hampshire are just ahead. Well bowled from Farrant. So you mentioned the kind of flats away over the top of the pavilion, as it were, and over to the right as we're looking at them. And it is incredibly hazy. I can see it raining in places that aren't here, basically.
Well, I've actually just had my watch on my wrist just buzzed, telling me that the rain is expected to stop at 4:35, but I actually didn't think it was raining right now, so I'm unsure.
Could be two if Hampshire push. It's gone to the long-on's right. No, good work in the deep.
And so that's in about 14 minutes' time. Is it raining? Who knows? But that's the end of 13 overs, 129 for 3. They're well up in this.
Well, DLS par, which basically is the gauge of where you are in the match, and if rain was to fall down from the sky and we couldn't play anymore to decide who the winning team was. At the moment, DLS par is 129 and Hampshire are on 129. So if we walked off right now, it'd be judged a tie. That's how close it is here at the Kia Oval. We are going to have another change of bowling powered by SSE Energy Solutions. Step up to the crease. Let's bat for sustainability together. Khalil? That's not her name at all.
Khalil
Moore. It's wonderful batting from McCacken. It's been an exhibition from the right-handed openers so far. Again, she's striking almost, well, she's on 57 off 37, 61 off 38, I beg your pardon. 11 boundaries to her name, all fours, no sixes. When you think about the modern game, people with really high strike rates, you think about kind of Andre Russell, people with massive biceps hitting it into the stands.
So basically me, yeah?
You, exactly. Andre Russell and Georgie Heath, I can never separate
When you think
them.
massive biceps, those are the first two names that come to your mind. I know it.
McCacken has been wonderful. The rain has returned. There is a haze across the ground. And that's arguably even better from McCacken. The first time she opened her wrists to guide the ball square of the wicket, this time she skips down the track, uses a little bit more bottom hand, and almost Roger Federer forehands it through cover. This is a wonderful, fantastic innings from Hampshire's openers so far. And well, it doesn't show any signs of stopping. I'm interested in this, Georgie.
Yeah.
Because it is raining. There's a mizzly drizzle.
Mizzly drizzle, the kind of rain that sucks if you're wearing glasses.
Correct. Actually, I don't wear glasses, so I don't know why I agreed with you.
We decided maybe
I should. But there's nobody on the covers, so it looks like we're going to crack on. Moore is going to come round the wicket. She does go aerial this time. Is long on in the game. Schofield, yes, no. It was in, and then it was out.
Yeah, she's hokey-cokeyed it, hasn't she? It was in, out, and now she'll have to shake it about with the towel on her hands. But she got there, she made up the ground, and then it was the sort of dive, and in the end it was hitting the floor, had both hands to it. And it's that sort of impact.
Elbows into the turf, dislodging the ball, and a big moment in this match. Well, an attempted relay from Surrey there between White, Hodge and Schofield. It doesn't cost them too severely in the end. I think Hampshire were going to turn for two anyway. But a drop catch and a misfield, it just gets the kind of nerves pumping around there. Can nerves pump?
Yes.
Single.
Why not?
Okay.
I'm going to say nerves are pumping.
Well, who's on strike? Georgia Adams on strike, 24 to her name. That'll be a single to take her to 25.
Yeah, well, we did see that, didn't we? I was just saying earlier how clinical Surrey had been in the field. They'd taken their catches, and that's why they were on top. And Hampshire, we saw them miss a few earlier, but now creeping into Surrey's game, whether it's the wet ball, the pressure.
Another single to end Moore's over. 142 for 3 with 6 to go, 72 to win, so exactly 12 runs and over required.
Yeah, so 2 a ball needed, so you've got to find some boundaries. Neither of these two dealing in sixes. They're not really the kind of players you think, right, they're my big 6 hitters, but Adams, the accumulator, has kept herself up, got up there now with that run rate and the strike rate. 25 from 19. McCacken going along a hell of a lick. 67 from 41. You feel that to win this one, she's got to be out there at the end for Hampshire.
I think you're exactly right, Georgie, and I'm flabbergasted that there is not any ground staff in sight. We're going to get our head down and we're going to play through this rain. We have a new bowler as well. It even looks like it's going to be Grace Harris into the attack. And sorry, Davey, do the batting, do the bowling for us, please. It's flipped into the leg side.
Now, I really like this change, actually. Grace Harris.
Well, they're scampering too. Stonehouse just had the little misfield. Now the chance for McCacken to get back. I beg your pardon, please.
No, it's okay. Grace Harris, actually a really good change because, like you say, we don't necessarily think of her as a bowler, but she took a hat-trick in the WPL this year. There was the story that the morning they had a bowling meeting, and as a joke, she went, oh, I'll just take a hat-trick, and did.
She's bowling that line to try and cramp the batters, and that is, oh, well, a bit of fancy footwork on the boundary's edge. I think they're kind of discussing whether it had gone for 4. No. We're going to be happy and we're going to continue.
Alexa Stonehouse just losing her hat in the effort. Yeah, so Grace Harris has a hat-trick in the WPL. Took a hat-trick when I was working out on the first Fairbreak tournament as well over there. So she's a natty bowler.
Well, the umpires are just having a chat here. Are they discussing the rain? Are they discussing potential that maybe that ball went for 4? I don't know at the moment. Stonehouse and now the umpires are chatting, so I wonder whether it had gone for 4 or not. Stonehouse shrugs her shoulders and goes, I don't know.
I don't know.
Eats me. And I think given, well, to go back to skullduggery, if your ankle has kissed the rope on the way through, you're a long way away from anyone being able to notice. Not that I'd encourage such ball play. Surrey and Harris just get away with that one there, because that's what McCacken is looking for, a bit of width to be able to cut the ball through that packed offside. This time the ball struck up towards deep mid-wicket. We've seen a few players just slipping.
I was just thinking, it's looking a little slippy.
Now.
And interesting as well, we also had Danny White-Hodge and Alexa Stonehouse just swap positions.
It's a bit of a relegation for Stonehouse.
Wasn't it?
Take it personally. That should be 1 run more. And again, the ball just skipping off the surface now. I believe that's Franklin in the deep there. And again, DLS par is currently at 147. Hampshire are on 148. So if they were to walk off, Hampshire would win. Just by 1 run, I guess.
Would win by 1 run. Try and say that faster.
McCacken goes to reverse. Courtine Coleman went to try and preempt the direction of the shot, but she was wrong-footed, and that's 4. It brings up the Hampshire 150. McCacken goes on to 76. This game just gets tighter and tighter as we head towards its finale. After 15 overs, Hampshire on 152 for 3. And they need another 62 for victory.
Yeah, going to be a very exciting final 5 overs here. As I said earlier, Ellen McCacken is the key to this. If she can stay out there to the end, Hampshire will be able to see this home, I reckon. 76 from 46, but Georgia Adams is playing her part at the other end. She's just not quite found her timing and destruction in the same way McCacken has. But crucially, she's out there and she's not chewing up delivery. She's not just keeping her company. She's playing her part too. It's going to be Tilly Courtine-Coleman from the Vauxhall end. And again, very little foot movement from Adams, and Bryony Smith just... Is that Bryony Smith out there? Yes. Just decides against even thinking about having a shot at the stumps.
Confused me a little bit, because I didn't think Georgia Adams was very near to being in. Anyway, who are we to judge?
This time does use her feet, Adams, and she's going to pick up 4.
A width on offer, and Phoebe Franklin down at long off just did a frustrated hop, skip and a jump in front of us. It's a superb match. Another boundary to McCacken. Well, 80 or 47. I just wonder, I'm surprised we haven't seen any kind of nods to the kind of dressing room or messages from the dressing room to the batters, because if you can get yourself ahead of Duckworth-Lewis, all of a sudden that rain becomes, it feels a little bit heavy. You know?
Yeah, oh, you suddenly slip a little bit.
Actually, yeah. This isn't safe umps.
Just can't pierce the infield this time.
Ow was my main reaction to that ball. Fielded by Farrant, kind of striking on the wrists. Really in the game if you're at cover point to McCacken.
Goes aerial this time. And Danny Wyatt-Hodge makes no mistake. So it will just be 1 for all that effort. Still yet to see the floodlights come into play. I'm just excited to see them in all their illuminated glory.
Flying squirrel.
Full toss this time. Franklin makes up good ground. And you can see there's a sort of... She skids across the grass. They seem perfectly happy with the weather, don't they?
Only 1 ball left of this over. 8 runs off it so far. So a good one for Surrey. A boundary would be very appreciated from Hampshire this ball.
Moves back in her crease, does Adams. And it's a dot ball to end the over. So followed her well, did Tilly Courtine-Coleman. So it closes out the 16th over. Hampshire 160 for 3.
This game just keeps flipping on its head. 1 tight over from Surrey, and now it feels like Hampshire are really up against it. That run rate up above 13 and over. 54 off 24 needed. DLS Par now has Surrey back ahead.
Grace Harris is going to continue. The 10 from her first over. Well, they need 13 and a half. Uses the feet. This is skewed up in the air. Grace Harris calls it. Caught and bowled. What a day she is having on debut for Surrey. She has now got rid of the set batter, Ella McCacken, who was going to see them home. She was Hampshire's key to victory, and it's going to prove a hell of an uphill struggle now for Hampshire.
Well, this is exactly what you want from your star overseas signing. Score your runs, take your wickets, take the catches as well. She's put this game on her back here, Grace Harris, bowling the crucial overs, 2 in a row from the pavilion end, and she's got the key wicket of McCacken. You see that DLS Par just skipping up a little bit more. 54 off 23, the equation for Hampshire. Let's see who comes in and tasked himself with knocking off those runs.
Yeah, it went up very high, didn't it, in the end? But Grace Harris called it early, decided she wanted it. It could have very easily been any of the 2 fielders converging in, but good communication. The last thing you need is trying to take a catch, colliding with your teammate and trying to keep it, well, firstly, stay safe and keep the ball in your hands. Some might say, almost more importantly.
There's Rhianna Southby in for Hampshire, previously of this parish, a former Surrey player. QPR fan as well, which is very important.
Okay. Well, this is squirted away this time. I feel like she's really worked on her batting the last couple of years, Rhianna Southby. Pushed herself up the order. As I said, she bats very low down for the Southern Brave when she plays almost as a just as a keeper, really, who bats occasionally. This is aerial from Adams. What a grab, diving forward. She celebrates like she's Ronaldo scoring a goal, down on her knees, holds the ball in the air, and Surrey are all over Hampshire now.
That could and should be the match for Surrey. A fantastic catch from Schofield in the deep. She put down a tricky one earlier on this innings where her elbows just clashed with the ground and the ball popped out. But this time, with the pressure on, with Georgia Adams, the last remaining set batter at the crease for Hampshire, she holds on to a difficult catch. She's diving forward, the ball's wet, it's cold, it's murky, it's horrible. But
English summer.
Schofield might just have won the match for her team.
Did well to cling on. I think about the ball's wet as well. But it's much easier when you're seeing yourself to victory. And they're into the 17th over. Grace Harris is having an absolute day out on her debut for Surrey. Not only has she had a quick fire 50, she's now taken the 2 key wickets, the set batters. Moves Naomi Ditani out to the middle, the left-hander. And she and Southby have got a hell of an uphill battle on their hands. That required rate 15.9. Scamper through for one here. Think about a second and wisely decide against it. Yeah, that required rate just keeps pushing up every ball now. 16.42 the required rate. DLS telling us 173, so they're 11 runs behind that now.
It's amazing how quickly big run chasers can fall off a cliff. A couple of wickets, a couple of tight deliveries, and it all changes.
Uses her feet this time, goes aerial, and Schofield coming in off the boundary, can't quite get there. What an effort though, sprinting in, she was right out on the rope. And well, that's the sign of aggression that Hampshire needed. Didn't come off in the end, but she manages to survive. So 17 overs gone. A very, very good over that from Grace Harris, picking up the 2 wickets in there. 17 gone, 164 for 5, 3 still to come. Surrey looking for victory here on their first game at the Kia Oval as a professional women's county side.
No, not just the 2 wickets off the over, but only 3 runs as well. 50 needed exactly. Hampshire off 18 balls. You suspect a bridge too far. 10 out of 10 for effort and dedication from Paige Schofield. She runs from long off to long off every over. She's always in those hot spots for Surrey.
Kalia Moore in again. Ditani can't time it. And Surrey are edging themselves towards victory here. It's been an all-round team performance, but Grace Harris on debut has been sensational. This time again, not timed. It's going to land just behind Tilly Courtine-Coleman. And that signature sleeve on her left arm.
Notice as well, during Grace Harris's over, she was reaching into her pocket to get that towel out and dry the ball. Every ball, in effect. Must be very slick out there.
Tries to take this on again, not quite timed by Ditani. Paige Schofield is having a busy day of things up at long off. Long on, apologies. Now for the right-hander. Full bung up. Not got a hold of this one. Danny Wyatt-Hodge says, I'm having some of that. Eats it up all day long. She's not going to put that down. But no ball has been signalled. So all that excitement all that happens is one more delivery, one more run to the total. A free hit.
The next delivery will be a free hit.
That one just slipping from Moore. Ball is slick. No ball probably signalled by the umpire.
That's a great delivery. Somehow it squirted through. So often, the free hit, the bowler suddenly pulls something out the bag.
She executed there more. Did sneak through everyone. Kieran Chatley, a by next to her name. It's amazing. Down to our right-hand side, in front of the Archbishop Tennyson School, there's a bunch of kids in there, I reckon about 30 of them, and they are going bonkers.
Full again from Moore. What they're shouting. Honestly, I thought they were shouting Coley. I think maybe that's just what I'm attuned to.
Oh, I think it's Surrey, which would make sense given...
that would probably make more sense. You never know. So left-handed Ditani now. Again, full toss. Taken easily. Soft dismissal. Diving to the left. Bryony Smith, the captain, makes no mistakes. And that sends Naomi Ditani on the way. And Kalia Moore, well, she had a catch taken off a no ball earlier in the over, and this time, safe as houses, Bryony Smith takes the grab.
That's a really smart catch from Bryony Smith, falling away to her left and also diving. Well, I just feel a bit bemused at the moment, because about 10 minutes ago,
yeah,
right in the balance.
And now it seems like a procession.
We just saw up on the big screen PA announcer, the voice of God, having a dance with the kids. An atmosphere down here at the Kia Oval. We do have, well, 2 overs remaining. Hampshire 171 for 6. Looks like Tash Farrant's going to complete her set for the day.
So it brings Mary Taylor out to the middle. And she'll be at the non-striker's end as Tash Farrant comes in from the pavilion end. And left arm round the wicket. A big swipe at this one from Southby will just bring about one more to the total. Well, it sort of seems a bit of a moot point to be mentioning the required rate now, but 22.9. It is mathematically possible.
It'd be a hell of a thing.
But it would be a hell of a thing.
Which they did it all 4s. Last 11 balls of this innings, all going for 4 to win.
This again is just slipped out of the hand, top edge. And it's going to be cut off in front of the boundary in the end. Bit of relay fielding. You also had me confused there when you said all 4s, and I thought you meant they'd be on all 4s. And I was like, why are they crawling? You can't get from one end to the other that fast.
Even more of a spectacle if they were. Incredible.
Oh, it's been a day. It's been a day. Well, it's been a day for Surrey. Well, it's been a 10 minutes for Surrey. It's really swung the game back in their favour. Tash Farrant just trying to dry that ball on her trousers. Mary Taylor again has a big swipe at this one. It's just one more. Suddenly got very quiet again, hasn't it?
Well, the kids have, or maybe the teachers have had a word and said it's too much fun for one afternoon.
The sugar rush has just stopped suddenly.
I imagine Farrant will be desperate to nab a wicket just at the end of this spell, having been out of the game for so long. Just to have her name back in the wickets column.
Boulder, well, she has her reward. Tash Farrant sends the middle stump pegged back out of the ground, bails flying everywhere. She gets a hug from her captain, and she sends Southby on her way. On her return, Tash Farrant finally has herself a wicket.
Oh, after almost a year out from competitive cricket, See her celebration there. Means a lot. Battles a lot of injuries, Farrant. She's such a crucial part of this team. I think she is officially the vice-captain of Surrey. Just to have that little confidence boost at the end. Clean bowled as well. The most satisfying of all the wickets. And Surrey's kind of march to victory now, well, continues.
Freya Davies comes to join Mary Taylor in the middle. Tash Farrant hunting a second now. Got the sniff, got the scent of it. And welcome back to cricket. Like you say, you can bowl as well as you like, or you can bowl as badly as you like, but on return, the thing you really want is that wicket, and a bold stump out of the ground. Happy days for Farrant. Maybe one more to the total. So one still to come in this penultimate over. And Tash Farrant. And then just one over still to play in this women's game. Obviously, the men's coming up again later. Double header today here at the Kia Oval. And it's looking brighter over to our right, Cam, which is where I'm just making the assumption is where the weather's coming from. But I also
do this at the Oval. We just assume it comes from the right.
Yeah. Well stopped by Farrant. Has that hit her in the face? She's down. It looked like it bobbled up.
I think that's taken kind of fingers, wrists, and then rolled up to her face. That didn't look particularly pain-free.
I think she's gonna... Is she gonna head off?
It's heading straight off. Bryony Smith signalled for a substitution. I really hope that's nothing serious. The last ball of her spell as well on her return from injury. She just goes to hold her wrist or her thumb there. Well, we hope for the best for Farrant. One over remaining in this game, and it's going to be Grace Harris to bowl it.
Oh, this is a sort of a procession for Grace Harris on debut, isn't it? She's made 63 from 35. She's picked up 2 wickets, 2 very important wickets, and now she gets the final over. It's just turned away. One more to the total. I mean, there was all that excitement. There was all the excitement, wasn't there? Grace Harris joining the party at Surrey. And she's delivered on debut.
We gave a lot of sympathy there. Farrant's still on.
I was sure she went off. Again, just turned into the onside. Think about coming back for a second, in the end decide against it.
No, Bryony Smith definitely gestured to the bench to bring on a substitute. And after all our kind of remorse and sympathy and concern, everything's fine.
Yeah, all good. All intact. This one's going to land just short of Paige Schofield out on long on boundary. She's been busy, hasn't she, in the field, Paige Schofield. So just edging towards the close here. 3 still to come. Grace Harris round the wicket. Gives it a bit of extra flight this time. And there could be 2 on here if they're quick. And that's good running. So 2 deliveries still to come here, Cam. And Surrey will be very pleased with how they've dragged this game back into their command. Well, in all of a tangle and still trying to stand up.
Grace Harris's bowling figures are really going to stand out in this match, as well as her innings with the bat. 2 for 16 so far after 2.4. Everyone else has been going for boundaries left, right and centre. She's kept it tight and taken the key wickets.
Boulder, well, Grace Harris on debut, picks up a 3rd, cleans up Mary Taylor. What a day she has had on debut. She's been absolutely sensational. What an addition to this Surrey side. Not just good with the bat, not just good with the ball, a sensational personality, an inspiration to this side, and Surrey have a dominant win over Hampshire here at the Kia Oval.
No, a 32-run win for Surrey. Comfortable in the end, but that doesn't tell the full story, because Ella McCacken and Georgia Adams, for so much of that Hampshire innings, were keeping up with the rate, forcing a really fascinating tie to go the distance. Grace Harris, the star, with bat and balls. She finishes with 3 wickets. Exceeds just 18 runs off her 3 overs. The last wicket falling very satisfyingly on the final ball of the innings.
They'll be very, very pleased with that in the end, Surrey. When the game was getting away from them, they dragged it back in. Their performances all around, everyone contributed something, really. They got off to a, well, it was a slowish start, the first couple of overs of the bat, and then went absolutely flying, the opening batters, Danny Wyatt-Hodge and captain Bryony Smith, and then contributions all around from the batters up the top. Wyatt-Hodge, Harris, Schofield, and Bryony Smith with 33 up the top, so she'll be a very happy captain. Her side bagged themselves the points and the win over Hampshire, who are a very strong-looking side and dominant in the end. Putting up 213 for 4 in their 20 overs was always going to be a tough ask to chase down, but at times they looked like they'd got themselves in it. Surrey making 213 for 4 from their 20, 63 from Harris and 62 from Wyatt-Hodge. And, well, Paige Schofield, a quick fire, unbeaten 49 at the end. Davies with 2, 1 for Adams, but they struggled to take the wickets, did Hampshire, and that's what helped Surrey really get themselves up there. Ella McCacken, the pick of the batters for Hampshire Hawks, 81 for 50, but once she went, it was a procession for Surrey. And Grace Harris, what a day she's had. She finishes with 3 for 18, 2 for Kalia Moore and 1 apiece for Stonehouse and Farrant on her return. So a 32-run win for Surrey Women.
Don't go anywhere, because of course, first and foremost, or second and foremost actually, we will be live with the men's fixture that begins at 6:30 this evening. But I believe we're also going to have a word of Grace Harris in the not too distant, and I hope immediate future. Get her live reaction to her fantastic debut in Surrey colours. And well, Hampshire were 2 from 2 going into this match. They have their first loss of the competition. Now Surrey join them. What was their record before? 2 from 2. Surrey, after reaching the T20 finals day as well, we've got to say they're looking extremely well placed for this competition ahead of the year ahead.
Yeah, looking really strong, and I think it's that captaincy and just the synergy in this Surrey side at the moment. And then Grace House joining the fold of a side who have been pretty successful already is really something. And also Grace Harris is someone I love to hear interviewed. She's not short of a word or two.
No, she absolutely isn't. An accomplished reader, as we...
No, she can read.
As we
Grace Harris can read.
Earlier today. And she's a real personality of the game. Such a star signing to be added, both to Surrey's roster and also for the competition as a whole. It's been one of those changes that's happened with this year and this restructuring of the women's game. As you're getting superstars over for the competition. Alana King going to be joining at Lancashire, and Elise Perry will be joining in about a month's time to join with Hampshire. Right, and I believe we'll be joined by Grace Harris right now.
Grace Harris, who of course scored that fantastic half-century earlier and then chipped in with 3 crucial wickets. Grace, who arrived from Australia a couple of days ago. Jet lag not really a thing for you then?
I think if I start much like this, and I'll just take the hours that I'm sleeping, so you know, it's working for me for now. I'm getting plenty of sleep. It's probably just at the wrong timings, but yeah, I'm really enjoying the English summer so far. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, well, our apologies for the weather, but great to have you here with us at the Kia. You obviously played here before in the 100, but with a Surrey shirt on. Proud moment for you?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. The girls have been epic to get around me in the first couple of days, and I generally just walk in and I chat to everybody anyway, but I've already played 1 or 2 pranks, so there might be a few coming in the future rounds, but we're on the road next to Manchester, so it could be a long bus ride.
Absolutely right. But talking about today, obviously great all-round performance. Talk about that wicket and how you went about your innings, first of all.
I rode my luck early, I'll say that, definitely. I just think the wicket kind of just played nice and a bit skiddy, so looking a bit square. It was probably a bit on the riskier side when you're batting, and I was happy that a few shots came off, and then I just wanted to be a bit freer, so not overthink too much, and the reverse came in and the ramp, so I'll see how I dictate that for the future tournament.
Well, so far so good. And then with the ball, Hampshire were going worryingly well there with McCacken and Adams, and then you've got that important breakthrough. Your approach to get that breakthrough for the team?
Oh, I just kind of noticed that the wicket was kind of just, again, skidding on and a bit lower, and the ball got a bit wet, and I thought, you're not going to get your traditional ripping offies through the gate or anything like that. So I thought, if with the scoreboard, the amount on the scoreboard, I thought I'll just try and build a bit of scoreboard pressure and see if we get wickets that way. So I kind of just thought about a bit of a plan B and see if I could shut down a side of the field and make them think about having to take a bit of a riskier option against the angle of the ball.
And a word for the fielding side, because really tricky out there when it's slippy and greasy, and by and large a top performance from the girls.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Quite all round very good. We held most of our catches in kind of slippery conditions, so quite happy about that. And I thought our ground fielding was pretty good on the whole. So yeah, it's great to get a win on the board in my first game, and yeah, it's great for this summer so far.
Absolutely. Well, we're thrilled to have you with us. One rule we've got is no mention of last winter, okay? Can't talk about the Ashes whilst you're over here, and then you're very welcome as long as you keep playing like that. Grace, thanks so much. Really great to see you in a Surrey shirt. Well played, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.